Yes.
Boom, skeng.
We're good.
Skedaddle.
We're good.
Who was using this mic here? Why is it
So
fluffy?
what we saying?
We're saying it's good. It's more than good.
Yes.
How are we all? How have we been? It's been 2 weeks.
Is it?
For me, it's been 4 weeks.
Yeah, for me, it's in 6 weeks.
So, gentlemen, how have we been?
Who wants
Very
to start?
quickly.
Who's that put across to?
Whoever wants to answer first.
You know what? The funniest thing is we've been on holiday. We've
So let's start with that.
start with that. I'll let you start with that.
I managed to visit the motherland.
Oh, brilliant.
So I was very, very happy. And you know what the crazy thing is? I went to Morocco, but you know what the crazy thing is? It wasn't the whole point of being in Morocco. It's, do you know when you have to send someone your location and you look back at it, it just said Africa, Dean, Citrus. I said, yes, man. This is what I want. Do you know what I mean? I've never seen that before. So it says to me, I need to make many more trips to the motherland. But it was definitely insightful, completely different to anything I really imagined Morocco to be like or Marrakech to be like. It's definitely a hagglerless city.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Like, it's you just need to go there hard back, hard face, and just be ready for them. You know what I mean? Like walking there with a stiff neck, and just be ready for them. And it was like a no means no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it was a really nice place. And I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. We went there in Ramadan. So there were certain times of the day, everywhere was just closing down.
No, go on.
Yeah, but it was still really nice. Do you get what I mean? It was really, really nice. And like even my taxi driver was driving, and then the call for prayer?
Yeah.
Is it called iftar?
Yes.
So
yes.
the call for prayer thing happened. My man just pulled over and just took his mat out the glove compartment and just said, yeah, I'm just going to go and pray now.
You know that the prayer, it resonates on a frequency which actually changes the molecules in your body. And that's what reggae and jungle originally were on the same frequency. And then a guy called Jonathan Rothschild changed the frequency from, I think it was 23 or 24 megahertz to 44. You get 44/44 on records and whatnot.
Yeah.
So now when you listen to certain music, they say music is emotion and whatnot. So the music now at that frequency will make you angry. It will make you more emotional. It will make you depressed. If you listen to reggae, jungle, opera, that prayer, like it uplifts you. It changes the molecules. It changes the direction of the molecules in your body. Fact.
This is why this place is just full of education.
I'm telling you, man.
Education.
We like it.
Fully.
But away from that, I'm good, man. Car got broken into once and then another time, but it's life, innit?
You said once and then another time.
Yeah,
Did you not learn from the first time when your car got broken into?
Well, one, it got broken into. The second time, I left it open, so it's not technically a break-in.
So you said to the guy, psych,
I swear
trying to break in?
I swear we had a podcast about people leaving their cars open and there's things getting stolen out of it, etc.
Well, and
whole podcast.
Yeah,
Do you
but
remember it?
On that one, on that podcast, I remember that podcast. And
Who was it?
I swear.
It weren't me.
the item was round the corner, and the man didn't want to go and get it.
There was another time.
I'm just sure.
Just to explain, my car weren't broken into.
Not
At
mine.
that point,
But my car has been broken into. Well, my van's been broken into, not my car.
vans always get broken into.
Oh, and my car. Jeez, just remembered. And my car. Yeah, my car was painful. My car was at Carnival.
What? It
was Carnival weekend.
Wow.
Okay, there we go. We weren't at Carnival though.
Carnival weekend.
Don't do that, because you know when Notting Hill gets a bad
name.
Yeah, because you said it was at Carnival. It wasn't at Carnival.
One second, yours was near your yard. Yours was everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because I know 3 incidences of his now.
He's one of mine.
Wow.
And you left your car open anyway, so
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
anyway. So but away from that, mine is good. Got a long drive tomorrow, but I'm all good.
Wowzers.
With your broken car?
No, with the courtesy car, which
courtesy car.
which you put your foot down, and then
Does it have to think about it?
It does,
and then
it
accelerate.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I did a good deed last week.
Wow, you're just gonna dismiss.
It's all right. The good deed's cancelled because you just cut me off. But safe.
What's the good deed?
No,
What's the good deed?
I went and helped a friend, and I thought to myself that was a good deed. My good deed done for the year. Leave me alone after that.
Good
I'm
deed done for the
What does
year
that
by
even
helping
mean?
a friend.
So if you're helping
That's such a
someone,
broad
and then you're
statement.
you're saying, I've done a good deed, so therefore I've paid into the
Homage.
good deed.
Yeah.
But the operative word, I was helping someone. That's not a good deed. You've just helped somebody.
Exactly.
It's a good deed, though, is it not? So if you help me now, is it not a good
So
deed?
what was it you
I've
did
just
that
helped
was
you.
what was it you did that
What
made it
did you
such a
do?
good deed?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be
I
that's the thing.
supported a friend in need at the time that it needed, and I'm happy with that. I felt to myself, that was my good deed. I felt I did it on the back of.
Do you want to get paid for it?
Ross? Huh? Pay me if you want.
No, that's why it wasn't a good deed.
This is why it wasn't a good deed, because you have to go where the intent lies, isn't it?
I'm going to jump onto that because I went to, sadly over the last couple of weeks, I went to my uncle's funeral. However, my uncle's children had some quotes up there. This is one of the quotes, and this is resonating in what has just been said. It says something along the lines of, if you do something with your left hand, if you give your left hand, your right hand should not even know your left hand has given. So in other words, if you're there helping somebody, nobody should know what you've done apart from yourself, because it's not about getting the credit for what you're doing.
Amen.
That's why I said it resonates with what's just been said there.
So basically,
Yeah.
Don't get credit.
His right hand knew.
His right hand knew.
Here's what you're saying.
Nah, to be fair, it was a lot of things behind it. I mean, I'm not going to expose everything, but there was a lot of things behind it, and I was happy to be a part of it, and it was a nice deed, and I'm quite happy I did it. You know what I mean? I felt to myself I was helping, so if I did, then great. And that was my thing, and I had a good week.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? Because we've jumped right into everything, I'm going to very quickly hand over to Rain for Rain's roundup.
Rain's roundup.
Rain's roundup.
You know, I had to cut it. There was so much, but I've cut
So
it.
much has happened, but Rain's got his roundup ready.
Just a quick one. So you know, this weekend's going to be 22 degrees, temperature-wise.
Hot thing.
It's going to be warm. It's going to be
All
warm.
right.
It will dip down. 22 degrees in England, so it's going to be warm. It's going to be warm. So I don't know if people are going to hit parks.
Rain took away the rain. Love it.
Parks or seaside. Then another thing that I came across this week, actually, London is the saddest place in the UK.
oh, that's
I can believe
too
that.
general.
It's saddest place in the UK. Then it breaks it down into the areas which are the saddest. So I've got the top 8.
I know Northwest is number one.
Wow.
In the top category, which is 43%, I didn't get all the detail, but 41%, sorry.
Timeless.
Vauxhall,
Oh,
Camberwell,
Wow.
Bermondsey,
three South areas.
and Southwark.
This makes
They're
sense.
all around the same sort of
yeah.
area, though,
so
innit?
something must be
Pure
going
West people
around
living
there,
around there, but that makes sense.
Then
Oh,
Hackney, that's
Where
number
am I?
5, but it's at 37%. Islington, Lewisham, and then Finsbury Park. Those are the
saddest areas in
the
London.
saddest stroke loneliest. So the people in those areas are saying that they are lonely. So they've got minimal interaction with people,
this
no
thing don't make
relation.
no sense. That don't make no sense to me.
Do you know what?
I'm already arguing that thing because
Go on.
I'm not lonely.
he never mentioned Northwest London.
Because they're happy. They're all right. They're not lonely.
Have you been there?
Do you know when I think about it though?
Happy. Sarah.
They're happy.
Oh, bruv.
Back in the day, Hackney, those areas would have been, probably isn't and would have been.
What,
the
lonely?
No, not lonely. As in friendly, everyone getting to know, everyone knowing each other.
Yeah.
But when you think about it now, those areas have been quite gentrified, innit? So people moving in, they're not really.
Brother, near where I live.
It's not a community of people know each other for how much a years. What you've now got is people are moving in. Some people are buying flats or buying houses for their children. No one's moving into those flats, whatever. So you've got a lot of bought places that are just empty.
Bro, where I live, near my yard, there's a whole shop dedicated to board games. A walk away from that shop, there's another shop dedicated to just desserts. A walk away from there's another shop dedicated to just bubble tea. These are all
Right.
happy.
Look, bubble tea you do by yourself.
I mean, it depends.
Board games, well, who knows? It might,
You say because they were bored. No, bruv, they got like 18 different varieties of Monopoly. No, it's just pure.
yeah, but
It's like a game thing next to the VR place. Somebody knows what I'm talking about.
VR is done by yourself.
Buddy, go now.
No, I mean you do it in a group.
Or you do it by yourself.
How many things are community based? I guess is the thing.
I mean, we got parks and I don't know why I'm defending this made up survey.
no,
It's not made up.
it's
All of a sudden, I'm just defending something.
I'm just thinking about compared to when we were growing up in these same areas and it
I
was
mean,
community based.
If I could then be honest, things like let's link up in the park and play 3-on-3, like Hackney Downs 3-on-3 in the early 2000s, that was legendary. There used to be hundreds of people there. watching the basketball. Do you know what I mean? They were just net set up and all sorts. So yeah, I mean, I get that. And then you used to have things like Metropolitan Police Fireside. You'd have the Hackney Show. You'd have Clissold Park events. When all those kind of things, and then you know some of the bad youths there got them things stopped. But in the summertime, I know people. See, and this is where I suppose it's different. People migrate to Hackney. They'll go London Fields. You know, by
Broadway Market.
Broadway Market. Thank you.
Yeah.
They'll go to Broadway Market. They'll go down Dawson. They'll go Shoreditch. They'll go Vicky Park and whatever else. And people come there just to chill. So
yeah, but
I don't know if that's external people coming in having a good time, but the people that live there are just not happy
it
doing
could
it.
be, or it could be people going there from Hackney having a good time, but for that
And then
moment,
going home and being sad.
Oh right,
Going
not sad.
home,
Remember,
being
lonely. Sorry,
And then answering a survey.
No, you never know.
Answering
You
the
never know.
survey, you know.
There's so many of these, and you know what? In essence, there is a little bit of
Do you know what I'm thinking? Did Rain do the survey?
No. I literally just looked just to make sure I was talking the right stuff. You know, there's a little bit of tongue in cheek in regards to these things where they're asking people that are just come out of the doctors and they've been prescribed drugs for depression.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying it is, but
I get it.
But we have to take it. At the end of the day, your original point was, sorry to the South Londoners, over there they're lonely.
There's enough of them over there.
Wow.
There was five boroughs that was mentioned.
Wow.
Areas. Vauxhall's not a borough.
But sorry, yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah. But anyway,
Very true. Very true.
Have we got time? Or
Yes, we have.
Yeah, go on, run
Yes,
it,
we
run it,
have.
run it, run
Let's
it real
run it.
P. Diddy.
Hey!
Right, we're going there.
Listen,
We ain't got that type of time.
I played at an event called 90s Bash last week, and I asked the question.
Is P Diddy allowed to be played?
Yes, because everyone. Remember, if you think about it, when it was R. Kelly, block R. Kelly, no playing of R. Kelly.
One second. Do you not play R. Kelly? Just quickly.
I'm not a sound man.
If listen, as a DJ,
All right.
as a DJ, I'm not there to be moralistic. If people now say to me they want to hear Happy People or they want to hear
still
Step in
play
the
it?
Name of Love, it's not my event. If you want to hear it as the celebrant, I will play it for you because that is my job. My job ain't to be having no morals.
Are you playing it yourself?
Hold on. Would you play Gary Glitter?
I don't play Gary Glitter anyway. So it
Would you?
wouldn't.
That's not the point he's trying to say.
Would I play it? Would I play it?
Yeah.
If I'm honest with you, depending upon the circumstance and who
Sorry,
wants to hear
sorry
it,
to cut
maybe
you.
so.
Sorry
I'm
to
only
cut
saying
you.
because I've never played it.
But
So
according to your last statement,
That's why I asked the question.
he has so much point on what he just said because he just said it's according to your whoever's celebrating their birthday. I want to hear Gary Glitter. That's what I want to hear.
If you as a celebrant want to hear it and I've got it, I'll play it. Because my job is not to be having the morals of saying it's of anything. You know, it's a broad thing. You know, we touched this before when we was talking about people still play Buju. People still play Vibes Cartel.
Why would I play Buju?
Because he was in prison for the drugs situation at the time, which if some people have got morals about it, if they want to be moralistic, because drug dealing, whatever.
But that means hip hop is cancelled.
No, and that's what I'm saying. There's loads of hip hop artists who have gone to prison for murder who are still getting played.
Enough of them talk about it, and everyone wants to hype up on Cartel.
This is what I'm saying. So what I'm just throwing the name out there. But what I'm saying is that if you go with the morals, if you're having the morals as a DJ to say I'm not going to play a tune regardless of if you as a celebrant wants to hear it, you're not doing the job for the celebrant. I'm not there to be a moral compass and moral police. I'm there to entertain the people that are booking me to play.
Essentially, you'll play it.
I'll play it.
You play anything by anyone.
Are you playing it?
What?
Are you playing R. Kelly?
Gary Glitter.
No, Gary Glitter. No, R. Kelly, no.
You're not playing R. Kelly?
No.
Are you playing R. Kelly?
Buddy's
playing it.
No.
I know it's in his Spotify.
My
Spotify.
No, but you know what though?
Where's my
Very
story?
quickly, there's a question to that though. So we all knew about the R. Kelly charges before
And
he
we
was found
played it
guilty, but we still played him.
happily.
So what was the difference between him
know what?
being found guilty and what we
He
knew?
was found guilty, innit?
That was the point.
But we knew.
I wasn't there. I didn't see.
No, but we saw the video of him with the.
I get your point, Wiley, because
We knew. We knew.
Before the documentary came out, we knew what he was. We all knew it. All right. But when the documentary bust, and then he got in trouble with the police, everyone went, now we got to put it down. We knew when he was banging Aaliyah. Like, we knew. We just didn't care. All right? And then now it's like, no, don't play him. So I get the argument. However, it is so frowned upon now. You're sitting there putting...
Do you know why I can't even work with you, man, right now?
Go on.
I'm playing everyone. I don't need no one. I don't need no celebrant. I don't need no celebrant to ask me
You're
nothing.
playing what you want to hear.
I'm playing it, bruv. In my car, if happy people come, I'm going to sing it.
Listen, I'll probably
Do
sing
you know
it.
what?
I'm not gonna try and lie and say, "Look, you singing
I'm
it?"
also, when Smooth Criminal comes on, I was singing that as well.
Wait, we're not talking about Michael.
Don't
bring Michael into it. He was innocent.
He's allowed to play with kids.
Innocent.
That's okay.
He was innocent.
He's allowed to bum little white boys. That's okay.
Did he get
I'm saying to you, for me, if this song makes me feel a certain way, I'm going to play it, unless I don't like the song.
I'll tell you,
or I don't like the artist.
We've really digressed here.
Yes.
P. Diddy.
So
I don't know how
P.
he got
Diddy,
here.
What has he done? Sorry, does anyone know what he's actually done?
It's been
Trafficking,
alleged
sex.
about sex trafficking, and it stems
Which is
from
mad.
It stems from the case with I forgot the name now. His former girlfriend, the singer Cassie. But there's other cases that have now been brought up around it. And the thing about it, there's a whole load of I don't know if anyone knows this guy called Gene Dill. He's been talking about this for years. Jaguar Wright has been talking about this for years, for over 20 years. This isn't new news. So the fact it's all coming up now is very interesting that everyone's pricking up their ears because they've been saying this for over 2 decades.
To be fair, the industry is corrupt anyway. We all know this, all right? You're in the industry, there's industry parties, and them industry parties, they get down. You know what I mean? We know this. Everybody knows this.
Well, all industry parties.
There's the
ones that Buddy goes to, anyway.
Yeah,
Because I was just going to say, because
I don't get them invites.
Giggs came out and said, I don't know what you man are talking. I can't do his accent. But he said, whatever it is, I don't attribute me to that. He's been to industry parties. What are you saying? He's involved.
I'm saying stuff happened at his party.
Well, here's the thing. If you watch...
I didn't say that,
I
Giggs.
think Cat Williams said it in one of his interviews with Shannon Sharp.
He's been saying it. No, he said it from Pimp Chronicles 1.
But he said it in that interview. He said that there's a certain point in these parties when some people go home and some people arrive, and then these things is when it's all transpiring.
No, Denzel Washington actually,
Yes.
says
And he don't go to the things.
No, he says you have to leave before the devil
certain
gets
time.
there.
All right,
Yes.
you know the thing.
Yes.
Like, brother, I saw a documentary on Tupac, and I've seen what was going on inside of Suge's yard. And I'm not saying it was.
Is Tupac next to Free Park?
Hyde Park. Or Green Park.
You had words by Sony earlier on. Anyway, but I'm saying
Valentine's Park. Burgess Park.
I saw something that was happening inside, and it was wild, but it was girls. To be fair, girls.
Wait, you went to a party and saw wildness?
No, I was watching it. I was documentary, and I was like, oh, you know
In
what?
the party, you do the documentary.
Do you know what?
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
You understand over there. But anyway, the documentary, right? And I saw what was going on. I said, right, this is it's wild. And even he says, and he talks about how much wildness used to go on at these parties. Now those were girls and guys, and probably like girls that was doing their things and whatever else not. The ones that are coming out from the Puff Daddy story is more like guys on guys, him getting people to do things and him watching. And guys on guys, him watching guys doing
Allegedly.
But if you,
I mean, 50 says it's true. But anyway,
but if you listen to the interviews, with, and I'll just say to anyone who's watching, Google Gene Dill and watch his interviews. He actually says people was all willing participants. It's not like to say, oh, Diddy was forcing people. People was involved in this. Listen, it's a whole big kettle of fish.
Does he bust case?
I don't think he does.
Did he? What do you mean? He's out there with his he's got twin daughters. He's out there.
They all got arrested.
Eating in restaurants. He's eating restaurants and he's out there doing his thing.
Do you know why I don't think he bust case?
Did he flew off to an island?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Was it Grenada?
I think he's
or Bermuda or something.
He's free at the moment, but like I said when we was talking about the R. Kelly situation, I think the people who have the power to stop things happening and stop people getting caught, you must have peed people off to a point. They're now no longer protecting you because a lot of these people are protected.
See, the thing is, what I say when you say things like that, and it definitely is about power.
Yeah.
And some of these people, people of influence.
Yeah.
If you go after them, just be careful.
Very.
Like, look at the whole Weinstein thing. How do you think that got out and then got dealt with and brushed away? And
we're talking about Diddy now.
And now we're talking about Diddy. Now.
Also.
So that should say to you, 1 second, when whatever's going on is all going on, there's certain man like, yo, if we let him speak.
If I speak.
How many of us
are going to go
get caught in the net?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, these things are facts. Facts. All that will be released is what they can protect.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would only protect it, like even not to take away from, and it's taken too long as it is.
about to say
but
range round
even with the royal family, what's going on there? They're like, let's just release a little information. It's got too far. Do you know what? I got cancer. Rah. Let's just forget everything else that took place, because now we need to focus on her rehabilitation,
all that,
give her space,
make it nice. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's
Like,
the thing.
anyone now goes after her,
You can't go after her.
No.
like immediately, none of the news houses are going to say anything. Now, I'm not turning around and comparing A with B, B with C, C with D, but I'm just saying when the influence around you is that strong,
Yeah,
and
you're
you can
protected.
do certain things, this is why people move in certain ways. It's just that I believe that these people live in this kind of bubble to think I'm completely untouchable until the momentum gets so far
Someone
ahead
does something. Yeah.
that it's like, now I can't protect you.
It's just a quick one, just like a bit like Bill Cosby. So obviously there's the things with him, and there's an argument to say the reason why Bill Cosby got pushed through the mud was because he tried to buy NBC.
He tried to buy more than NBC.
Well, that's the big one that I know about.
Yeah.
There's a few others.
There's a
and
few
they're like,
others,
hold
yeah.
on, what you Cosby Show man with them man that owning NBC. So you're gonna be controlling the news? Nah. Let's do a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, why
Power.
I did it. We could have went on for a couple of hour or so with this.
You know what? We're gonna have a podcast one week where it's just Rain's Roundup,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah.
just talking about Rain's Roundup.
The stuff.
That is just it. That is going to be the podcast.
I don't
one
like
of these
Rain's
days.
Roundup.
You don't like Rain's Roundup. Don't worry.
Sunshine with citrus. Soon bus case. Don't worry about that.
But this is the MT podcast. Myself, Mr Wileycat DJ, the voice of reason, and to my right we have,
Rain, Bomber Clark Nelson.
and next to Rain we have.
1 second. When did my man get gestures to go with his?
Well, you know it's
You
recorded
know,
now.
like
innit?
emojis and stuff as well.
My man's got emojis, fire emojis. He does the gunshots and just the rain cloud.
I want to see what you're gonna do next time.
Nah, just me. Man like citrus. Yaga yo 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 yo. It's the citrus in the house, and we're running the show. Yeah, yeah.
Oh Lord.
Do you know what the hand gestures?
You know what it
I
is?
think that was better.
He's doing this like he's actually hitting a note.
I am.
You know, like he's like
I
an
am.
opera
The
singer
people
singing it.
I am.
The people that are on the live, right now.
How many people
Citrus
say yeah, yeah?
Is actually is he actually
He
hitting
hits a
a
note.
note? When he
It's
has
a note.
whatever.
And Rain, if you play it back right, the frequency that it plays right. Here we go. Big sun molecules. All right. Okay.
And last but not least, we have.
Buddy in the building, aka The Truth.
So this week's podcast, and it's such a broad title.
I think it's too broad.
It's very broad, but we're not going to try and cover everything. It is what is it like being black in 2024? I'd actually narrow it down even to say in the UK, because if you say
And I'll
the whole
also
world,
add in your 40s, if I'm allowed to.
you could do. I mean, that's an element to go down. So
1 second. The big man over there with his pink t-shirt took a big sign to
Shout
say.
out to Myriad Studios, because the way that the producer side there, I would have thought he was in his 40s, but I don't. I'm a bit concerned about the sign. It was a drink, yeah. It was a drink.
Holding a bug or just inhale the drink.
But Citrus, as you've touched onto the 40s,
Yeah.
you've just jumped right out there. Explain what you mean. What's the
Okay,
issue?
so weirdly enough, like a good podcaster, I was doing my research and thinking when I first heard the title, I was like, it's a bit too broad. And I was talking to one of the young men that I work with. He is in his early 30s. And he said he'd love to be on the podcast because certain points that we make and we raise, he understands and it kind of resonates with him. However, he feels that we may miss
The generation.
the experience of the generation below us. Is it a generation? Would you say that's a generation?
Yeah.
Like so being in our 40s, we're missing.
Is it Generation
I wouldn't
Z?
say it's a generation, but
No, because we're generation. What is it they call us? They call us generation. There's Gen
Degeneration
X. You know, I never
Gen
get
Z.
it. Yeah, there's Gen Z. I think Gen
When
Z
is
is
it?
this generation now.
yeah,
Gen X is the 2000s, if I'm correct.
yeah.
I'm not sure. We're the baby boomers. We fall under that. Well, maybe not so much buddy, Buddy's a little bit after the baby
Wow,
boomers.
why-
No disrespect. Is in terms of when you look at the
Let the rain man talk.
when you look at the
actual-
grades, not grades, the actual the classifications.
frames, yes.
There's the baby boomers, there's the Generation X, there's the Generation Z. Maybe Rain has got the full list of them to give us the full
there's
info.
Generation X born between 1965 and 1980.
Okay.
Then
yep.
you've got the Millennials,
Yep.
which is 2000s. Then you've got the Silent Generation.
Made up.
This is a made up team. This
Never
site's
heard
dead.
about- Never. It's not a site, you know. It's,
It's rain-
No,
it's
go on,
rain-
go
it's
on.
rain.com.
No, we'll listen.
and then you've got the Baby Boomers.
What year's the baby
That
boomers?
was World War time, so it was before your mum
Okay,
and dad.
cool. So you're talking about, so realistically,
So you got the baby boomers, yeah?
those of us that are born
Wiley.
up until 1980, what year, sorry?
Sorry, say again.
Those of us born up to 1980, what
Generation X.
Generation X.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So I'm an X-Man.
there you go.
Just gonna take what I can.
There you go.
There's so much.
You've got Zoomers, which is Generation Z, 1997 to 2012, and then Generation Alpha, which is the early 2010s to the 2020s onwards.
Okay. So, with that being said,
So
you
I
was
was
talking
speaking
about
to someone who is, say, in the generation framework below.
Yeah.
And he said that one of the things that he likes is to hear our perspective on certain issues as someone older and who's gone through life. However, it doesn't completely reflect his experience being someone born in the 90s, for example. Do you get what I mean? And you have to remember, someone born in 1990 is going to be 34 this year.
Yep.
So that gives you scale. And I've got a CD from 1989. This is just to show you, do you know what I mean? How it all works out.
A CD from 1989.
CD from 1989.
He was advanced
It
then.
was in Looking magazine. Do you remember Looking?
I can remember
rings a
that,
bell.
you know? I can remember that. Go
The
on.
old foots will remember. But yeah, so I've got this stuff, and in my head I was just like, do you know what? I thought we really made sense, but I realized I'm talking to people who have experienced life in a similar framework that I've experienced life, not those that have come up with, for example, these guys who I speak to every day confidently talk about Pokemon, and I'm like, what do you mean Pokemon? Do you know what I mean? Isn't that a kiddies thing? But when I think about it, Pokemon was out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When they were in school and whatever else. Do you get what I mean? So I'm like, okay. Let me try and respect it and understand it. So coming back to the actual question,
Yes.
one thing now that I notice is different being a black man in 2024 is I no longer have any fear going to any region
Oh.
in the southeast.
Oh.
I wouldn't say everywhere.
Okay, explain what you mean by fear.
And yeah, explain what the historical fear would have been.
When I was younger, I mean, where I lived is on this borderline, and which is Hackney. Tottenham is just there. If I was going Tottenham, it's literally Body Music and back to home.
Right, okay.
And Body Music was a record shop.
Yeah.
So I was going there because Body Music had certain tunes
You had to
that
go, yeah.
I couldn't get in Wide for Sound or some of the Regal Records or some of the other record shops.
They're plugs.
So I had to go, the place is
They're
not
gone
around no
now,
more.
yeah.
man.
Yeah, they
It's
all
plugs.
closed down. All these shops are
Buddy
closed
don't
down.
know what going. Buddy's the alpha generation.
But it's like with minidisc.
Where are we going with this, bro? I'm all right with being the
Buddy
youngster, you
started
know.
with Laserdisc, mini disc
I'm
generation.
fine. I'm
So,
happy with this.
Anyway, no, I'll be happy. But I'm saying that when I was younger, if someone said come and meet me on Seven Sisters High Road, I'd be like, I'll meet you in Mr. Patel shop. Do you know what I mean? And I'll stand next to Mr. Patel and be there at 3 o'clock because at 3:01, if you're not there, I'm gone. I'm not going to be hanging around in Tottenham like an Egypt. Do you know what I mean? So now, if I have to go anywhere, there's no fear. I'll do all of that. And I know generationally, this has changed in so many different ways with what's gone on. But this is one of the things that now, especially in the line of work I do logistically with removals and deliveries and whatever else, my job is where? Okay, I'm going now. See you later.
But is that just your age because you're not caught up in the passa that might have been attributed to what was going on at that time? Because that shaking still happens now.
Hence why I framed it in my 40s being black
Okay.
in 2024. Do you get what I mean? To turn around and try and put enough frameworks around it. So even when I do see the youths, and you'll see some of the youths in their ballies, in their, do you know what I mean, their puffers in the summer time and rare. And I'll just look them in the face and say, well, go on, you man, you good?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'll do the sense check just to make sure everything all right? You right? You right? You good? You good? And then with that, then I know what's going on. Do you get what I mean?
Are you doing that as an elder? Or are you doing that as a...
No. One thing, and another thing, which I suppose, I could be here all day, so you don't have to jump in.
No, that's cool.
But one of the other things is that even when I'm driving around and I see another, and I'll make it very specific, I see another black man or a sister working or with their youths or whatever else, I will purposely holler them out. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Wagwan, you good? Stay blessed. What's up, King? We saying Queen? Stay. Do you know what I mean? I will always try and install some form of positivity. You don't know what that person's going through. Yeah. So for me, I feel it's part of my role to be able to. And sometimes you might see. I'll give an example. I remember I saw this bus driver. He was just mad. Do you know what I mean? In my head, he probably started shift 15 minutes ago. He's got 6 more hours of this BS. He don't want to be there. He'll just vex, face screw up. As I'm coming towards him. He's driving the opposite direction. The traffic stops us, and I bid my horn, and I look in his face, and I'm like, and I did a gesture to show him to smile, to raise his cheeks, and then he just put his hand on his head and just started laughing. He was like, and pointed to his brain to say, do you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about something, but I'm like, nah. So I wound my window down. I said, whatever's going on, bro, you have to smile. And he was like, true that. Wound his window up. And he went on his merry way. Now, I don't know what the hell he was going through or what made a difference. But for that next 30 seconds, he was like, right, that old guy with the bald head and the grey beard.
He was awake, yeah.
Yeah, he made me happy today. So these are one of the things that I think about being black in London in 2024 is vitally important.
Just as a quick question, just as you've kind of said it. So just to you guys, you see another black man walking down the road, regardless of the time, will you say hello? Buddy.
I can do. I mean,
no, I asked you.
It's weird because when you say that, it depends on the person. So I can't.
You don't know the person. You just see
no. But there's times where I think I've even done it today. I saw someone. I was like, "You right?" And say, "You right?" And then we kept it moving. Like it just depends because it depends on the person, who it is, if they've caught eyes with you. Like back in the day when we was younger, I suppose you'd look at someone, and if someone looks at you, rah, my man looking at me. Who's he looking at? Rah, it's beef. That used to be the thing when we was young. All right. But now, as an older, it's like I look at someone, they look at me, another brother. Cool, I'm cool. You cool? Cool. And we keep it stepping. So it's very it's a weird question because it does happen sometimes where you'll say hello to someone and you just greet them, and sometimes it doesn't. So,
Wiley,
in London, no. Out of London, yes.
Why not in London?
Because in London is a different setup. I realise that when I go out and about across England. There's a more of a community with black people outside of London than there is in London. In London, everyone is competing, everyone is on a battle flex. You go out London, there's a very much a more of a community flex. So when people see each other, you get the hellos, good afternoons, how are you doing, whatever, you get the nods. But when you're walking around in London, I just find that it's almost, it's like people will see each other, then they'll look, and it's like you have to make that nod of, it's a peaceful nod, as opposed to, why you give me a dirty look, lad?
Where outside of London are you talking about?
Yorkshire, Leeds, Liverpool,
Leeds in Yorkshire,
Manchester. I'm just saying all these different places, Doncaster, all these different places, anywhere where there is a low demographic of black people, I will more than likely, when I see somebody, we will hail each other, and it's just a natural thing.
So I found it, I'll come to you in a minute. Well, Wiley will come to you because he's the host. I find it the opposite way around. In London, I'll see a man, doesn't matter, hood up, hood down, clean shaven suit. If you're a black man and I say hello, I always get a response, and I'll always say hello. When I'm outside of London, I'm talking about Shirley, Totnes, all of them places there. The black person there is like, hold on, I'm the only black person here. Where you come from? And then I'm in trainers and rear tear, I got my rucksack on. He's thinking, what you doing? I've never seen you before. So I get the opposite to what you're getting.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I get the complete opposite. Birmingham, Manchester's different. Those places are multicultural. Liverpool, different.
That's what I'm saying, like more like about a Yorkshire and places where you don't have a big demographic of black people.
You said Yorkshire, and then you said where in Yorkshire?
Leeds,
You said
Doncaster,
again,
them places.
multicultural. Doncaster, multicultural. If you're talking about like extreme Yorkshire, man ain't saying hello to you, bro.
I don't know, you know.
But no, firstly, there ain't no black people out there.
But I that's what I'm saying. If you saw each other,
someone, right.
then I think you would. Because anytime, like, when I go to these places, and I don't want to labour the point on it, when I go to these places and I see people, it's not in areas where there are loads of black people. Like to say, like Birmingham, Manchester, yeah, there's a big demographic of black people that are there, innit? But when you're talking about in other areas where there isn't that, when I see people, there is a nod. There is a, in fact, it's more than a nod. There's more like a good afternoon. And it's not just a hi. It's hey, good afternoon, you right there? How's it going? All right, cool, have a good day. That conversation, when I'm walking around in London, I don't get that. And I think it's a London thing. I don't even think it's a black in London thing. I just think it's a London thing. We got such a fast pace in London, we don't have time. Like you were saying earlier about you saw somebody, and this is before we started the podcast, you saw somebody and they didn't want to stop and say hello. Part of that is because of our mindset is so fast paced, we don't trust someone just saying hello to us generally. What is it they're after? What are they wanting? What is it that are they trying to rob me? No. I'm saying London is in general, not me. London is in general.
So I wanted to say something quickly. You asked the question. Was it not? What's it like to be black in Britain?
Yeah, I'm saying, what is it like being black in Britain in 2024?
So where we've kind of pigeonholed ourselves is we've turned and said to ourselves, what's it like being black in London? Because London's different from a lot of other places around in Britain. In Britain, it's different. Being in Liverpool, being in Manchester, being in Yorkshire, and so on and so forth. Like it's different in those areas. So when you said it, it's like, well, what's it like being in those areas and seeing a black person compared to what is it like being in London? London, like you just said, is very fast paced. Like I wouldn't say hello to anyone in London. Like why? Unless I know them, because it's just the way it works. We're always busy. We've always got something going on. You know what I mean? Unless I know you, I ain't got time to be sitting there. Something. There's people I know sometimes, and I'm thinking, let me just try and go that way so they don't see me, so I can keep it moving. I've done it to you lot in my times.
I don't agree with you.
That's my perspective.
The point I was going to drop before you jumped in rudely, because I had my hand up.
Consider I spoke to about half an hour.
It doesn't matter. Put your hand up. So I said, there are sometimes I might see a mum just walking, and I'll be like, yo, mum, finish the school run. And they're so, to be fair, they're probably buddied. Do you know what I mean? They're so focused on head down, just drop the little one off. I've got to go pick this up, go do the shopping, go and tidy the yard, make sure put the food on. I've got to get back and pick the little one up from school. So they're so focused in wherever that little hole is. Answer them that question, they're like, huh? They don't even know how to answer. And I'm like, so you having a good day? Yeah? All right, next time I swing back though, make sure the soup's on. Or I'll just see something. And then the person will smile. And for me, all you need to do is literally touch someone with a little bit of love. Do you know what I mean? As soon as you just touch someone with a little bit of love, somewhere, somehow, that love will trickle down to someone else. Or trickle down to someone else.
It's funny because my dad used to do it often. So like he'll be driving and he used to trouble people. But he'll be driving and someone might look vexed. He'll shout, fix your face. And sometimes they might laugh, or sometimes you might get suck. You know what I mean? But that's exactly. It might be a bit different. But he was doing it then, but just interacting with people. Obviously, come from Jamaica. You can't walk past somebody in your scheme and not say hello because it's disrespectful. And that's what I've understood, and you probably understood it as well, and whoever else. And that's. I think if more people did that, and I know it's going to be a wild statement, but some of the violence that we see in the capital and up and down the country, because if you listen to the national news, people are getting stabbed and shot and all over the place. If people just had that little thing of just greeting people, that might reduce. You know what I mean? That might reduce.
I want to touch into something you said, because you was talking about the generational difference, yeah? So one of the things that I realised about being black in the UK in 2024 is that we're more integrated. And what I mean by that is, when I was growing up at a certain age, when I was about, I don't know, in my teens up to the early 20s, the black communities, let me reframe that. The African community and the Caribbean community did not intermingle. Now, there's such a big intermingling. It's actually, and when I say intermingling, I mean in the sense of the cultures are so immersed together that it's merging as one. We're now becoming slightly, though a couple of generations away from it, but like how you have the Black Americans are just Black Americans. We're going to get to a point, I believe, soon of just having Black British.
Do you know what? And I think, similar to the question that Rain asked me, that I'm going to ask you, is talk about the 80s, talk about the early 90s, talk about going to school and hiding your... Do you know what I mean? Is everyone Jamaican? Yeah, Buddy's Jamaican, I'm Jamaican. What part of Jamaica are you from? The big part. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know.
Which part of Kingston?
Yeah, Kingston Central. Do you know what I mean? I'm just gonna say whatever.
Yeah.
To try and make it to try and merge in.
To try and fit in.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but I recall that I didn't even know Nigeria and Ghana were two different places.
What do you mean?
When I was young, it was just, you're African.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are African.
Yeah.
The whole thing
was just Africa.
It's just Africa.
And then into the 90s, you learn about Somalia. Because no one wants to be...
Yeah. I'm not Somalian though. I'm cool with it. And this is what it was. That's what it was. And when Wiley mentioned it, I was just thinking about it. And I was just like, I remember... So my neighbour that lived... So I lived in a block of flats. The neighbour that lived below me were Nigerian. And I would say every month maybe, the woman would come upstairs with a mammoth pot of food to give to my mum. And my mum will push her face up to say, I don't want this.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? Like, she'd just say, no thanks. And the woman would be like, it's okay. Dean, do you want to... Yes. I go running downstairs. My mum would look at me like, you better not eat. Do you get what I mean? I don't know what they do with their food. Like, Mum, what do you think is going to happen with the food? But Mum, don't eat no one else's house. Oh, okay. So I go down there and play with they had a little son, and it was like maybe 3 or 4 years younger than me, and it was cool. It was nice, but it was like, oh yeah, they're African, and I was like, oh, okay. So we don't like them. We don't mingle with them. Cool.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah. So
Wiley, I just want to come from like your point of view when you mentioned you were either African or Caribbean, but even then there must have been another divide, another split.
Do you get what I mean? When I think back to it, I don't think, and I think this is why I'm talking about it in terms of...
And what I'd like you to touch on is Desmond's and what was his name?
Matthew.
Yeah, but you know what it is? There was very much a divide. I blatantly remember there was a divide. You was either, and it was maybe because we were, and I say this as Nigerian, maybe because we were a generation behind in terms of when we came here. So there wasn't that unity of the islands or the countries. We unified with Ghanaians because we all came through the same struggle. Maybe the Caribbeans unified together because they came through the same struggle. I think in 2024 though, what you're now seeing is everybody is having that same struggle. And what I think is a big purveyor of that happening is you're seeing things like food. It always comes from things like food, music, fashion.
Culture, isn't it?
Culture. So if the culture is accepted by people, that becomes a big thing of it. So when I was growing up, dancehall was the big thing. Everybody was playing dancehall. I still play dancehall now as a DJ.
Yeah, everyone does.
But everybody was playing this guy. Everybody was playing dancehall because it was the hype thing at the time. Right now, everyone is playing, they're still playing dancehall and everything, but Afrobeats has had a big impact on the culture where everyone is now mixing and merging it together.
It's cool to be African now.
It's cool. This is the thing. It's fashionable to be African. It's fashionable. It wasn't fashionable when I was growing up, but it's fashionable certainly now.
No, but okay, sorry. Is it fashionable to be African, or is it that Africans are now proud to be African, whereas historically it was a bit of raw? I don't want to say that because there are the stereotypes. Africans smell of BO, and I don't want to be disrespectful. That's what the stereotypes were historically, and now there's a
you can't walk in their house because it smells of this.
Exactly, yeah,
and whatever else. And my mum always used to say they eat tripe. They eat tripe. We don't eat that.
Right.
That's the part that gets thrown away. And I was just like, what?
We eat cow foot.
Never understood it. We eat oxtail, we eat cow foot, we eat chicken neck. Do you know what I mean? We eat sauce. Do you know what I mean? Like,
What's that?
You know what sauce is?
Brother, that's a-
right,
that's
you
a
need to
small
contact
island.
some of your small island people.
But come on, man.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, no.
But so it's just a question. Is it that it's not that it's cool to be African.
It's more
Africans are
accepted.
Accepted, or Africans are proud, and because the proudness is there, people have to accept it because you're not hiding it anymore.
I think
it's fashionable.
I think it's fashionable.
I think it's fashionable.
Definitely.
Yeah, you know what I think
When,
it is?
when you're hearing Burna Boy on Radio 1,
When you hear, this is what I'm saying. Because if you think back to it, music, and I'll go back to it, music, fashion, food. Those are the three things that if you go into a society and you want to integrate into society, to take over,
Influence.
but to influence a society, music, 100%. To influence a society, food. To influence society, fashion. Because the minute you now are in that society and you're now doing things like that, and I think it's a thing of it's something that is our, how can I put it, in speech marks, strong point. Fashion is something that black people are seen as fashionable. Yeah. Music, we are seen as musical. We're the top tier when it comes to music, allegedly. And I say this because I don't want to be. That's how I view it. But I'm sure some people will view it differently. When it comes to food,
like black music.
When it comes to food, now you would never hear us saying, "Oh, we're going to eat something and it's not seasoned." We have to have, regardless of whether you're African, Caribbean, we all have seasoning in our food. There's certain things that we do that we are the best at, should I say? So with that being in mind, when it comes to I'd say African music, African styles, African fashions, African whatever, it's become fashionable now because it's more open. Everyone can get access to it. More accessible.
so I'm going to challenge you now.
Go on.
And say, I don't disagree with you. However, name 5 of the British Empire's biggest colonies.
Colonies.
I don't have this list. I'm just going to ask you to name colonies. And you can
colonies.
generalize. I really don't mind.
As in countries. Yeah.
India.
India, I would say. See, I don't see. You could say the Caribbean, but the Caribbean classes as a group in it, as opposed to.
No, but you can.
the Caribbean
I'd say the
is one.
Caribbean. I'd say.
I mean,
West
the Caribbean is split between different
but yes,
regions.
you got
but
Spanish and
Caribbean's in
French and whichever.
Caribbean's
I
in
would
Dutch,
say.
but yeah.
I would say West Africa, South Africa. I can't think of where else they've colonized apart from that. You know, you could say America, but America ain't really a colony.
No,
Really.
Go on, what? Go on, Buzz.
No, I was going to say, it was obviously I had Hong Kong at one point.
Hong Kong? That's actually a very good response.
Yeah. But I think in terms of size,
Sorry, my customer yesterday was from Hong Kong, and she actually said when the British stood back and the Chinese moved in, it got worse.
Got worse.
But anyway, I'll come back to that.
So I wouldn't say biggest in terms of number or impact. I think it's more in terms of West Africa, and I say Nigeria and any of the colonies that they took over there. I would say the Caribbean. I would say India.
Caribbean
certainly.
would be one of their biggest, though.
Yeah, but you have to look at it. The Caribbean,
the influence they had over the
and
colonies.
it's, not, and it's the fact that it was trade. There was a lot of trade
The Commonwealth, innit?
Yeah. So that was the big
So
thing.
the
for them.
Commonwealth for countries.
This is going to
Anywhere they
lead.
could
This
trade.
is leading on to another point.
Go on.
So in 2023, could you name the 5 biggest flows of immigration into the UK? What countries did they come from? This is to, I can't say buddy because he just saw the list.
I'd say India.
India
Africa.
is number 1.
Nigeria.
Nigeria is number 2.
Yeah,
I thought as much.
Think students.
China.
It's number 3.
Yep.
No, Somalia is not in there.
No.
Not
Because
2023.
Because you know what it is? I'm thinking of places where they're getting economic migration as opposed to asylum, because your hoops to go through will be asylum quite difficult, innit? I can't think, really.
It's near India.
Pakistan?
Number 4.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
of course. Yeah.
War torn.
Yugoslavia and them way there.
No, that's this
Not Ukraine.
Number 5.
Ukraine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Them way there.
Them way, Rain is saying anywhere in Europe.
Them way there.
So,
okay.
interestingly, interestingly, what I'd like to share is 141,000 people came from Nigeria
I can believe it.
last year into the migrants into the UK.
Right.
I can believe it.
Now, if you think to yourself, 141,000, that's huge. And then you base that against, one second, it's cool to be in the UK and it's cool to be a Nigerian or a West African. It's cool to be an African now. Do you get what I mean? So the point I was trying to make about being black in 2024, do you think 20 years ago that Nigeria would have been anywhere close to this list?
You know what? I don't know,
20 years ago, no. It would have been... it would have been...
Not of the highest, but they had... You know, you have to look at it. Look at it like with the Windrush generation. The Windrush generation came over here for work. The West African generation came over here as students. And they came a lot of them came over here to study with the mindset. And it's funny, like I said, I went to my uncle's funeral. His mindset and all their mindset that came over here was to come here, study, and go back home. And then obviously things as they went in their countries,
realised there's gold on every corner.
Yeah. And not even that alone, what they was gonna go back home to wasn't the same value of what they left. So they ended up staying here. So I don't know if it would have been second in the list, but I think it certainly would have been in the top 10 because there was a lot of West Africans coming over here as students.
I have a follow-up question.
Go on.
Buddy, what is it like being a buddy in the UK 40 plus in 2024?
What's it like being there?
What is it like being you?
I mean, the question's, I don't know, it's a weird one. Like, just normal, bro. It's like, I do me. I live life normally, bro. It's very different from, I think, some people that probably had to suffer back in the 80s and so on and so forth, because the things were a lot different. There was a lot more stereotypes that are around. Stereotypes have kind of changed now. And not only have they just changed, it's like, if someone's now saying to themselves, well, I'm not going to employ you because you're black, all right, then it's like, that's yeah, that's frowned upon now. You cannot do that. In fact, to be honest with you, you're more likely to give me a job because I'm black. You're more likely to give me a job and I'm not, all right? But if I was gay, like, you're not, any of the stereotypes that are out there, all right, you're now anti it, so you're trying to do the reverse to what it actually was in the first place.
What's it called? Reverse racism. Oh God, no, you know the term, Rain. I know
racism.
No, reverse. If you're employing people, you're employing people from a certain background because you want to reverse discrimination. That's it.
So
discrimination.
I would like to challenge Buddy back and say, like he made a very good point, and I'm waiting for the Rain man to jump on. Certain times Rain's supposed to chime in, right? He don't say nothing. Talk, man. Right? And then certain times you don't want to hear him, and the thunderstorm comes out. But essentially, I think you made a really good point about what I was hoping that you mentioned, and you said it about the stereotype. I think it's about the woke effect.
And just to go back to you as well, Buddy, in terms of, I know you're talking about on a general thing. So going back 20 years, Buddy 20 years ago to Buddy today, do you experience the world differently or the same as a black person growing up over here?
Before you even answer that, and this is what I was leading up to, I was saying about the wokeness. So this is a podcast probably maybe about 2 years ago where Buddy mentioned there's certain things that he's willing to accept today that he would never have accepted that same 15, 20 years ago. And now he'll be like, oh, you know that prejudice that I used to have? I don't care about that no more.
But isn't that not just age and being a bit older and wiser?
But it's being in this society that allows you to accept that, because if we took that same mindset and brought it back to our parents' land and turned around and said, oh yeah, we got to do this, or we got to accept this, or we got to live with this because this is the year we're in, brother, you might end up in jail.
What's the woke effect?
So the woke effect is the I would say politically is the liberalism. So when you turn around and say, oh, of course I'm going to employ Wiley because he's trans. Is he the best at the job? No disrespect.
Rain, what's wrong with you? Rain couldn't even hold it in, brother. What's wrong with you?
Can't even hold it for 2 seconds.
Conversation, bro. What's wrong with you?
Go on.
But no, I'm employing Wiley because he's trans, because that does two things to me. On my diversification, I can turn around and report in that we hire black people, we hire people over 40, and we hire people that are trans. So this one guy potentially now becomes the poster boy for whatever our annual report looks like, whatever our PR looks like. Do you get what I mean? And do you know who does
Ticks
it a
many
lot?
boxes is what
Do you
you're
know who
saying.
does it a lot?
Yeah.
Your people, bruv. Or your association. The London Underground, when you look at their adverts, when they're advertising for stuff,
Remember the punk rocker hair thing?
you'll just see any madness, anything.
Wiley knows
Because they're going to turn around and say everyone is acceptable. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but what I'm saying is the liberalism is, that was frowned upon. Virgin brought an advert out, and the advert had the guy with the nail polish, and the woman that had no, like before they were very strict on their makeup. So the woman wiped her makeup off and said, no, I'm just going to go out and naturally be me, and all of these other things. So now it's saying, do you know what, we're a bit more woke, we're a bit more accepting of certain things, and being that accepting, would this be acceptable to Buddy in, you know,
In
2004?
2004.
So the term is positive discrimination.
That's the word.
So is there anything
word.
wrong? So so this is the question. As a black man being positively discriminated against to a point that you get a position
Yep.
in a place, is there anything wrong with that?
Yes, there is.
Why?
Because you don't want to be in position to tick a box. And and I say this as someone who's seen quite a few people be put into position. They're not the best at the position, but they tick a box. So in order to tick 2 boxes, let's say as a black woman, you put a black woman in a position, you're ticking the box of a woman, you're ticking the box of a black person, but they're not actually necessarily the best at the job. So what then happens is, if that person now fails, then the business can say, without sounding crude, you know, well, we tried it didn't work, let's stick to what we know.
So then, in regards to, and this is a bit of a digression in regards to the race thing. So Theresa May was a female prime minister, didn't necessarily do well. Can't remember what the other woman was. She was a prime minister as well, didn't necessarily do well. So the Conservatives now saying, we've met our quota, we've done a thing, it's more than Labour, and now we're going to just have a man. And then follow on from that, Kwasi Kwarteng, who was the Chancellor, he was the first black Chancellor, wasn't he?
Yep.
And then you've got Rishi Sunak.
Let him mash it up.
The first,
All right, then.
And the thing is, he didn't even mash it up.
Asian Prime Minister.
Theresa May.
No, it wasn't Theresa
No,
May.
what's
It
her
was,
name? What's the other
She
woman?
was there for such a short period of time. We can't remember her name.
So he said, this is...
And he said, don't do this.
Yeah.
She did it. He then said, all right, then cool, we're going to do this. And then when it went wrong, she was like, yo, you know that guy there, buddy? Idiot. And he was just like, you know what? I will die on this sword. However, enough by our pause like a shutter. Do you know what I mean?
But I think
What was her name though?
you know, I
As
can't
you
remember her
said it,
name.
it started. I'm
This
sitting
could
there
be
going,
this could be a
Trivia question, innit?
You know
GCSE
what?
question.
No one
Those
Google
of you
it.
on the
No one
live-
Google it. Don't
Those
Google
of you
it.
on the live, give us the answer.
Why
Who
did you should have
was
said
the
Theresa May, and then I
previous
would have had it.
Prime Minister.
All I know,
That one was 2 minutes.
Blonde,
The 2 minute one.
Blue
I know
eyes,
what she
There for
looks
2
like.
weeks.
Don't Google it.
blue
There for
eyes.
2 weeks.
Patricia.
No,
No,
don't stop doing that, bro, because that just froze my head.
He's just saying the names
People's
that he
names,
thinks...
throwing them up
No,
there.
names that he thinks are attributed to a white woman. Racist.
But here's the thing, though. So, and I think you was talking about.
No.
But what's wrong with you?
You was talking about quotas. I saw it in a workplace where a black person was really good at their job. They got to a certain level, and because they was trying to get past that level, they was told openly that, you know what, we've hit the quota for people of colour in terms of the pay. So we can't go any higher for you because we've hit that quota. What this guy had to do, he had to move to another direction.
Wait.
Listen, you know, and I know what they should have done, but they didn't do that. We both know what they should have done, but they never did that. And, you know, you can try and tell people, you can bring a horse to water, you can't make it drink. But the point of the matter
What's
is...
her name? Karen?
No, brother.
But the point of the matter is,
I'm gonna Google it.
The
So
point
Google, don't
no,
Google.
don't Google. You're not allowed to Google.
Look,
You know,
people,
millennial.
people on the live can tell us, or we have to
Yeah.
think of it.
Yes.
Don't
I
Google
listened
it.
to the lives because it said.
Yeah, the live ain't said it. My point of the matter is that there are quotas, and sometimes there are quotas we know about. Sometimes there are quotas we don't know about. So to go back to your point about positive discrimination,
Liz Truss.
There you go.
Liz.
someone
said it on the line.
Yeah, someone said it on the line.
Yeah.
To attend to UK
Liz.
flavour, she said Liz Truss. That's the Prime
Big
Minister.
up. We've been ignoring them lot.
Listen. So my point of the matter is when there are things in place like positive discrimination, certain
Isn't Liz Truss like a
quotas-
soundman name?
yeah,
Like Citrus.
maybe so. Anyway,
Maybe she's one of my people then.
That's why she can't run the country.
you know.
That's why she got dashed out after 2 weeks.
After 2 minutes.
Sorry, Wayne, you're making a very important point.
When you get to certain levels and you have like all positive discrimination and things like that in place, what you then find is, as we were talking about Liz Truss, we had and this will be the Conservatives. We've had our feel of female prime ministers. We're not going to have no more. Rishi Sunak. We've had our feel of Asian prime ministers. We're not going to have an Asian again or another person of color at the helm.
It's Asian people in general. There's
What
about
about for the live thing?
So that is the main thing. Sorry, you were saying, Rain.
There's, in that conservative thing, there's lots of Asians. So what it is, there's so what was her name? The Home Secretary, previous Home Secretary,
Priti Patel.
Priti Patel.
yeah,
so she was
Patel.
in there.
Yeah.
Then there was
Suella Braverman.
Suella Braverman.
Then you got Kemi Badenoch.
Yeah, well, no, she's not knowing at the moment. She's trying to be
She's
someone.
trying to be, yeah.
She's Nigerian and she's talking some wild stuff.
Listen. No, yeah, and this is why I say, well, actually, she would say she's British, and this is why I say,
But
that
she's her parents are Nigerian, isn't it?
they are.
And she was born in the UK.
She would claim no, actually, she was born here. She went back home and she came back here, as far as I'm aware. As
Do you know,
far
I know
as I'm
someone
aware.
like that.
She went on the TV and said that the man that disrespect Diane Abbott, he should have got a box in his
Listen,
face. That he's all right. He's not a racist. He can say
Listen,
whatever he wants. She's,
You've touched on.
She's from the same region as well.
I was gonna go to the point of Diane Abbott, but I am gonna come back to that because it's a very important point there. But yeah, sorry, you were saying about the MPs.
No, yeah. So the now I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, and then there might be people on the live that says no, you're talking rubbish. But I think there is an element of, right, let's put some people in power to tick the box or to run certain things with a view that if they make it a success, great, we'll work with it. But if they fail, like Kwarteng,
Yes.
and Priti Patel, she made a howler.
Then we've had our feel of them.
Yeah, so, and that's it, and then they pushed them out.
I don't necessarily think that, I've been quiet too long now, so I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think, you know what, you put people in that are making the most noise and doing the right things, or the things that people are generating to at the time. So, like we said before, when we're saying that how we people are woke now, innit? So there's certain things that people accept. So
What's
now you
woke? Sorry, what's woke? Because
when you're saying woke,
Yeah.
we're now more acceptance of black people. We're now more acceptance of gay people. We're now more
that's not what
acceptance.
woke is.
We're more acceptant of these things.
I think it's the slide to the left, and the slide to the left of now there are 28 different genders. What do you mean? There's only two. No,
right.
you're archaic. We're
What's
liberal. We're willing to accept. We're woke. We're going to accept all 28
of them.
Well,
And I'm like, there's not 28, there's two. But
So wait, he was meant
No, go on.
I interrupted you. Sorry.
yeah, so what I'm saying is that there's a lot more people that are now at that stage. So you now turn and introduce the people that are now saying to themselves, well, you know what, we're ready for a black prime minister or a president, for example, which happened in America. We're ready for an Asian prime minister, which is now what we've got. Like, we're ready for these things. We're ready for someone. A prime minister could come up and say, oh, I'm a gay man. This is my partner, and he's a dude. And we would sit there and we'd just be, okay, because this is what life is now. When Margaret Thatcher became one second.
No, the good point is the Scottish MP that was pregnant.
Oh, on board the picnic? No, that's another one.
And yeah, no. She was Scottish, isn't it? And
sure.
she brought her child into the
House of Commons.
House of Commons.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, well, why would you do that? She was like, well, why not? So exactly what Buddy's saying is, sorry to latch onto your point, Bud, but exactly what Buddy's saying is like, well, 1 second, these things, we didn't even have women in here. So we've opened the door to allow, all right, woman, you can come in and just don't talk too loud. What do you mean you got your in there crying? And now I'm trying to understand What Buddy's saying?
We're now woke, as they're trying to say.
I'm just gonna the definition of what woke is. So woke is an adjective derived from African American vernacular, which means alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. That's what it started out as.
Yeah.
However,
and that's broader.
However, there's a negative terminology of woke, which is also politically liberal or progressive, as in matters of racial and social justice, especially in a way that is considered unreasonable or extreme. So depending on which side of the coin you're sitting on, you could say someone is woke, as in they're woke, you know what, I'm liberal, I'm accepting, I'm understanding everyone's struggles. Or you could be saying somebody is woke, as in they're overly extreme, they're overly what, and this is what the was it Suella Braverman or was it the other one? They said Suella Braverman in it was talking about the woker, what she called it, wokerati or something like that.
Wokerati.
And the point of the matter is, you sort of, I think you was touching on it before. You were saying about how things have been acceptable and things are now accepted. Have we black people now become more accepted in 2024, or are we still battling for acceptance of ourselves in 2024?
Battling for acceptance of ourselves. I don't think we're battling for acceptance of ourselves. What I think as black people, we are battling with other, I was going to say factions, but that's really bad, other races trying to encroach on what being black is. And what I mean by that is music, for example. So I know he sat on the couch, but the brother with the ponytail, the white brother, what his name?
M. R, yeah.
So he's doing whatever he's doing.
Myriad Sportswood.
He's doing what he's doing under the banner of it being reggae dancehall. Technically, yeah, it's something. Is it reggae dancehall? Maybe. We had Tug of War. Remember Tug of War?
Yep.
He went to Sting. He was doing a thing. Then you've got the influx of the Japanese sound systems into Jamaican culture. Like, are they doing what Bass Odyssey does, or are they doing something gimmicky, which is playing music that Bass Odyssey has?
Let me just jump. I'm going to very quickly ask you a question though. So if I'm a white-born Jamaican, and that is what I know,
Yep.
do I not have a claim to dancehall in the same way that you, as a black-born Jamaican, would have, or is it culture? Sorry, is it culture or is it race?
If you're born in Jamaica, you are a Jamaican.
Okay.
So if you're born over here, you're not a Jamaican.
Well, you can't be.
So what are you?
Your passport's... I can't be Jamaican.
So what are you?
My passport is British.
What are you?
British.
You're British.
My passport is a British passport.
I want you to start talking like that, mate.
But do all British people talk with a Cockney accent?
No, I'm saying...
That's nonsense what you just said.
No, but you just sitting there saying, I'm British. I've never... You know what the funniest thing is? I've never heard you say that. But I'm going to be very clear. So you're saying you're British.
I can't... My dad is born in Jamaica. He was born in St. Mary. My mum was born in Montego Bay. I was born in Shoreditch Mothers Hospital. How can I even proclaim for 1 second that I am Jamaican?
1 second.
Mother's Hospital weren't in Shoreditch.
Where was that?
The Mulberry Where was it?
It's in Clapton.
Yeah.
That's where I was born.
Wherever it was, it's down that way. It's in East London.
Yeah.
So you born in the same hospital?
Yeah,
brothers?
I think everybody, and that, yeah, me too, bro. Everybody.
No, we're born now.
Yeah, we know.
Buddy was born at home.
Yeah, at least I'm from the motherland, safe. But anyway, so we're going around. So as in your eyes,
You're gonna ask me the same question again. Ask me the same question again.
No. In your eyes, that's the case.
Yep.
So he was born. He just said Mother's Hospital. So where's he from?
But you could, no,
What do you mean?
but
Where's he from?
Once you know what, you can't do that.
From?
Same place where I'm from.
From
But
British.
you know what, you can't do that. though.
Where's he from?
You know what, you can't do that.
Same place where I'm
Let
from.
me tell you why
British,
you can't
yeah?
do that.
Of course.
Hold on. Let me tell you why you can't. I can see where Buddy was trying to go,
Yeah, I
but
see where he's trying to
he's
go.
not going very well because you asked Rain where Rain is from,
Right.
and the issue here is
gotta
Rain
ask.
is giving his definition of where he is from and where
ask him where he's
you can't tell somebody. Oh, you know what?
You can't tell somebody where they're from.
1 second. You can't give the definition of somebody being from somewhere, from someone else. They have to say where they're from. So this is why I made the question about, you said when I asked about the white Jamaican, if they make dancehall, do they not have the claim to it also? Is it to do with race or is it to do with where you're from? Because it is two different things. Now, to Buddy's point, when Buddy's saying, oh, where are you from? You can say where you're from, I can say where I'm from. We can have two different answers because it comes inherently from wherever you believe you're from and what your belief system is. Because if you believe that by being born in a country, but having the nationality of a place, that you have that nationality that makes you a national of that place, that means that that is where you believe you are from and where you say you're from.
But what you're doing a woke thing.
No.
You are. No, what you're doing is, this is very extreme, but what you're doing is, I identify as a tree.
No.
That's what you're doing.
No, do you know why?
Russ.
No, do you know why? Because I have no roots as a tree. I have roots as a human being. However, I have roots of my country. So whether I'm born here or not, I can't say I'm an indigenous British person. There is no such thing as a British person. You're either English, Scottish, Welsh, or Northern Ireland. There's no such thing as a British person.
Okay.
However,
you're using semantics into the argument.
No. I'm saying in terms of if we want to use the factual part of it. So you could say someone's a British citizen, but you can't say they're a British national. They're a national of the country they were born in.
Can I ask a question?
Wait, let me finish.
Just closing on that because I don't want to end up being about the nationality podcast again because that's going to be one we will do in future. The point of the matter is, if you're claiming somewhere, you have to have something to that place. I can't claim Jamaica because I have no tie to Jamaica, but I can claim Nigeria because my whole family line is from Nigeria.
But you were born
That's
here.
your heritage.
Irrespective.
You were born here, and for the years that you've been on the planet that you were able to earn, you were earning tax here. You've learnt the English system all the way through up until this juncture, until you move back home and buy a farmland or whatever. You are English.
Who says I haven't got farmland already?
But you're not.
Which is one point of it.
But you're sat here with us in the podcast doing your job that you're doing.
But here's the thing: to go back to the point of it, as a national. So by your definition, and I don't want to go into a back and forth of it because that will take you off of what we're trying to talk about. But from your definition, I couldn't claim to be a national of my country, could I? If that was how black and white was, but I couldn't claim to be a national of the country that I'm from, could I?
The system allows you to be able to so I can claim to be Jamaican. I've got both parents which are from Jamaican.
Yep.
So then I can get, I don't know what they call it in Jamaica, but in America it's called neutralization. So you are American. Okay. Because you are giving up your...
Is that nationalization over here?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. But you can do that. But what it doesn't stop is that when your birth certificate is produced, where does it say your place of birth is? Now, if you're saying that culturally, I believe I am from X, fine.
No.
You can do that. No. But if you produce your birth certificate, there's no one in the room. We bring in Tom, Dick, and Harry from the road, and we put 4 birth certificates on the table, and they say, right, where are these people from? Britain.
That's what somebody could say from that, which is fair and fine. And I don't want to end up going. This will be the final point, because I don't want to end up going like making the whole thing be about this. But what I will say is, if you are a national of a country, that is the country you are from. So if you have nationalisation of a country, the same way that I'll use the example of a footballer, Thiago Alcantara. Born in Italy, to Brazilian parents, plays for Spain. Ultimately, it's because he was raised in Spain. He's now claiming he's Spanish. That is what he's claiming, even though he's born in Italy. My point of the matter is, anybody can try and claim where they're from, but as far as I understand it, the nationalisation of somebody can only be if you have a link to that country. My parents were not born here. My parents came here. If they came here on holiday, I was born here, and then they took me back to Nigeria, doesn't mean that I'm English. It just means that I was just born here. And being born somewhere doesn't mean that that's where you're from. But that's a whole conversation we're going to have. That's a whole conversation we're going to have on another podcast.
So this makes sense, and I want to make a point, but buddy...
Do you know what? There's several points, and even on the last point that you just made, and it's one of the reasons why Americans are so confused about where they're from, all right? Because you saying that, there's Americans that are born, there's black Americans that are born in America, and they'll say, my granddad was born in America, or my mum and dad were born in America, and that's where I know. They're black people. And I'm like, oh, so where are your parents originate from? And they were like, well, I don't know. Do you know, because I only know my mum and dad. I don't know my grandparents because they died before I was born. So I don't know if they was from Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, wherever you want to put it out there for. All right, they don't know that. So when they're trying to say that, they say, well, what? So where are you from? And I had this conversation with one of my customers before, and they went, well, I'm American. I said, well, that's not where you're from because there's more to it. Similar to what you're saying. Now, when you're saying that, they take their stance from where they're born. So if they're born in a country, they're going to turn and say that's where they're born. That's where they're from. Now I will turn and say to someone, if someone turns and asks me personally, where am I from? I'm born British. I'm British. However, I come from a West Indian background or a Caribbean background. I come from a Jamaican heritage. That's where I would turn and say to anybody, that's where I come from. All right. Now, do I know any further than the Jamaican heritage that I've got? No, I don't. So when someone said to me, so where was, because someone could easily turn and say, so where's your African background then? I'll be like, well, to be honest with you, I actually don't know, because I don't know any further than my Jamaican heritage. I don't know further than that. Because if you want to go into the dialects that you're trying to go into, there are further than that. And we could turn and say, well, do you know what? Your heritage actually comes from Ghana, or it comes from Nigeria, or it comes from different parts of Africa. And I could say, oh, well, I didn't know that because I don't know my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and where they come from. So I can't go and find that heritage. I can only go back as far as I know. Now, I can always go as far back as where I was born from as well. And I was born in this country. So this is what I would then and claim. And this is where I make you, similar to Rain, I very much believe in what Rain said. You sat here and you've earned the Queen and now the King's money, all right? You've sat there and earned that all your life. This is what you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what you've been brought up to know. So whether you've got hatred towards the royal family or the country or whatever, or some of their stereotypical stuff that they do and whatever else not, that's your thing, and fair enough to you, all right? But I also know where I was born. I was born here. So whenever a white person comes over, or somebody else, or someone from this country turns and says to you, where are you from? Or you're not from this country. I am, because I was born here and I've been brought up here and I've done the schooling system here. So every part of the system I've done here. My heritage is of a Caribbean background. And then after that, beyond that, I actually don't even know, to be honest. And a lot of us Caribbean people probably don't even know that, to be fair. Dean, I'll let you go.
I'm going to put full stop after that statement. Yeah. So, Rain, what is it like to be a Rain man in the UK 2024?
A Rain man? It's good, man.
What does that mean?
I enjoy life. I've got to a juncture where I earn a decent amount of money. I've got good friends. I've got good family. I can buy almost what I want. I can't go out and buy a Bugatti if I wanted one, but I live well. If you're going to ask me how that was not a couple years ago, like maybe 20 years ago, maybe...
2004?
Probably, yeah, about them. Back when
do you know when Rain doesn't know time? So I'll say, bada rhythm.
Yeah, all right, cool, yeah. So them times, like, it was a bit different. The reason being is that like you couldn't move as freely. So again, like, me and my bedrooms, we always talk about this. We were the idiots coming from Tottenham to go to Chimes. Now that, when you think about it, if you knew that...
That was crazy.
Madness. It was dumb. We were the idiots going, because I used to go to Enfield College. I'm linking gal from college days in Enfield, deep Enfield. Now, them time that, like, shouts out to my bedroom.
Freeze watering in places.
Shouts out to Jonathan. The amount of time we were going to check gal and get chased by NF, it's different. You don't. Look, I know there's still racists in the country and there's still racists running around. They're a bit more covert. Back then, they'll be driving around looking for black people to do something. You don't necessarily. Again, I'm talking from a point of where I am now. Where I am, I don't see that. Racism still exists in the UK. There's probably where I live, maybe 4 doors down the road, there might be a racist family. I don't know. But back then, it was outrightly, it was open. People would say stuff, they would do stuff. So if you ask me how it is living now, I think, like as Nas said on one of his albums, life's good. Back then, I've come through some of the hardships. I've come through the things of people turning me down for jobs and giving the excuse of your tie's not straight. But the reality is that I'm a black man. Going to my first managerial position in Sainsbury's. Went in the first day. I think I told you about this before. Went downstairs. Was waiting to have someone to come and see me to bring me around the store. I am the HR manager for that store, and I was asked, "Are you the cleaner?" I'm in a suit, you know. Well, not that means it's different. People wear suits, but I was asked if I was the cleaner. You know what I mean? That's not happening now, because if that happened in this day and age, we go straight to Victory House in Holborn. You know what I mean? It's different.
Buddy, so I wanted to ask a question, and and this is to everyone, but do you think, right, some of the things that they've done in TV...
Sorry. Do you, just before you change the subject, I wanted to come back to his point.
It was a little bit about his point.
Is it about his point?
A little bit.
Okay.
All right. But do you think some of the things that they've done in TV, right, has made us a bit more able to do certain things like this? Where, like, for example, I have a complaint, a small complaint. So they will put in things like, in Marvels, for example, they're now saying, oh, there has to be one black person in there, there has to be one gay person in there. In every film or program you watch.
Have they said that officially?
They haven't said it officially, but every program you watch, every TV program you watch, there will be a gay action in there. It'll be either a lesbian or it'll be a gay.
You know, Silver Surfer's going to be a woman.
There we go. Or they're saying, oh, let's appeal to the women. Now, this same thing happened with black people for years, where they turned and said to themselves, well, we're going to have to put at least one black person in this program and one black person. So it now alerted everybody's attention to, well, black people did exist then, and they did exist then, and they're around. So you kind of accepted it. And now they've started to do that with the gay community. And it's like, okay, now you're starting to accept that. That's a part of things. Has this now helped you guys or everybody accept to the fact that this is a part of life now, and this is now, in the essence that we're talking about, this has now made you a bit more woke?
As in, are you talking about for black people, or are you talking about for society in general?
Well, I'm using the ones that have happened now because I feel like black people had to go through it before, where it was a case of, like we said, there was ticking boxes. It was a case of one black person at minimum has to be in this show. And it was like, boom, there's one black person, at least one black person. Even in EastEnders, one black person, there you go. There's a black family. Winston's still in it.
Winston, yeah.
Still in it, bro. All right, but there's one black family, or there's one Asian family. So you've now come to the point where, in your mind, this is accepted. And they'll put that in every single one of the programs. So now they've now decided to themselves, it's the gay thing. So it's like, all right, cool, so we're going to make everybody accept it. So we've now put that in there. So now you can accept it. All right, accept it. This is life. And it will be in every one of the shows. I mean, I'm slightly digress, but in Eternals, one of the Marvel programs, they made a gay scene that didn't need to be in there, but they did it. You can see the guy was visibly uncomfortable. Even the gay people said, you shouldn't have done that. All right, you can see he's uncomfortable with it, but you put it in there anyway, just to make sure it had that scene in there to say, we are woke, we are part of the thing. So it's alerting your attention to it. Has this now helped broaden everything to make sure that everybody can see that, you know, everybody's inclusive? Has this help the situation?
Look, I think society's moved on away to the point where it is about inclusion, and no media company, no record label, whatever, wants to be able to or wants to have the banner over their head that they are exclusive. Everyone wants to be inclusive. So I guess, yes, it has helped, whether it be the LGBTQ plus community.
Well done.
Gunshot.
That would never been me. I'd have said
double entendre there.
I'd have said ABCD EFG, but it's fine.
But and that's what gets us in trouble. Can you cut that part out, please, Jay? But yeah, so there's a point of being inclusive. Like, things are changing. Like, it's not black and white as things were back in this bad analogy. It's not this and it's not that as it was back in the day. There's a lot of things that you have to factor in. So is these things, is your question, have they been put out there on purpose to make things more acceptable? 1,000,000%. But it's also for business. Business does not 100%. Care about you and you being black in the UK or you being transgender in Scotland. All they care about is, am I going to be able to do something to be able to get the pounds coming in or the dollars coming in? That's what they do.
I think what one thing I could say, and I probably would say with regards to that, is it's not. I think you keep saying woke, buddy, and I'm looking at it as woke as a negative. But I think, like I said before, there was two definitions of it, isn't it? And I think that negative definition, and it's sort of like you're not saying it, but it's sort of like coming out in the same sort of way. It's like it's an extreme to recognise that there are social, societal issues that people will go through because of their race, because of their background, because of their religion, because of their sexuality. And I think sometimes we don't really take into account these sorts of things. I think you was asking around the room earlier, Citrus, about 2024. I would say this: 2024 right now, as a black person, I think it's worse.
Really?
Whoa.
I think it's worse.
How's worse for who?
I think it's worse for black people in 2024 than it was maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. And you know what I think made it worse? Brexit. Because what's happened is, and you've seen it with the Diane Abbott situation, you've seen it now where people are now openly saying racist things, but it's not being deemed or classified as being racist. So what's happening is the world of free speech, of being able to say things where I want to just say, I'm just speaking my mind. I'm not saying anything racist. I don't dislike black people, but there's too many black people coming here for migration and blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So what's happened is, from Brexit happened, a lot of people that was saying this in the pubs have now got the capacity and their chest bigness to say, I can say it in public, and nobody is checking them for what they're saying. So you get the situations, we touched on it earlier, you get situations like the Dying Abbott situation where somebody can openly say something racist and none of the people in that party who are affected by what was said have actually said, you know what he said it was racist. It took for a black woman to say it, for the Prime Minister, who is also a person of colour, to admit it was a racist statement. And I think that's where we've got to now, and this is why I say it's become more difficult for black people to raise up issues that we go through. Not to say that it's impossible, but the way that the world has changed because of things like Brexit and people being empowered to say racist things without being checked, it's not the in your face racism. It's the hidden racism, the inherent racism, the institutional racism that's happening that people are not really checking, and that's what I believe is happening more.
If you said this probably 10, 20 years ago, I'll probably more agree with you. That's not the case now. I mean, a lot of people are being G-checked straight away, all right, as soon as they say something, any way out of term.
But how are they being G-checked?
And what is the outcome of that G-checking?
Whether it be social media that will grab them straight away, all right, and make the public sit there and realise. I'm not saying it might not gets to a court or whatever else not, but I'm saying definitely social media will put it out there instantly. If you say something out of turn, that thing's on Instagram, it's on Facebook, it's on every platform that I can think of.
And I agree, but that's not a G-check, that's a check. A G-check is someone saying something racist
and there being repercussions.
And you kick them in their face.
And there's repercussions.
And the funny thing you say about the repercussions, there are repercussions, because some as much as you might think it's small or minute, right, there are certain things. If certain people don't sit on certain things that they say, or right, certain things that have been said, then it does hit them in certain ways that we, even politically, when Sunak sat there and he didn't sit there and I suppose turn his back on the people that said the guy that said the racist thing. Those knocked down his ratings. People are now not voting for him. That's just out in the public. Like it does hit them in certain ways. And as much as you're saying it doesn't, no matter what, this is why people do certain things that they're doing now. Like they'll come out and say, I'm going to say certain things because I feel to myself it's going to appeal to a certain gender or a certain race. They will do those things because they know to themselves, you know what? If I can get the people on board, people will follow me. Our lives have turned very much into a social media situation where it's like I need to be liked by loads. If I had a following of 1 million people, I'd be so powerful right now. All right, I'd be just as powerful as the Prime Minister in this country, because I could then say something after that with my 1 million followers, and I can make it happen, no matter what it is. So you sit there and saying to yourself that it doesn't affect certain things. If you get the right following and the right backing, it does. And when you say things that are wrong, they come up against you in different ways that will turn and affect your career or whatever it is you're doing, all right, in different ways. I couldn't sit there and say something bad about white people or Asian people or gay people or anything like that, and it not kind of take an effect on my life. Me now sitting here as small as my small network might be, all right, I can sit there and say to myself, if I said something like that, it would affect me. So you saying that, I think to myself, it's not. The racism hasn't got worse. It nowhere near has got worse.
I would have to disagree. Sorry, I would have to disagree. And I think you said something there about the repercussions. Yeah. You said about the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak never said the statement.
He never.
So the person,
he endorsed it.
1 second, the person who made the statement has had no repercussions for them. Yes, they've had the media coverage. What repercussions have they actually had for what the statement that they said, which was something along the, and I'm not going to get it verbatim. He said something along the lines of,
makes you want to shoot.
Diane Abbott makes me is not I'm not racist, but Diane Abbott makes me hate all black women. There has been no repercussions for the man saying that word, other than to say, oh, it's not acceptable, he shouldn't have said that, this, that, and the other. What repercussions has he faced? Yes, Sunak has faced repercussions. Yes, there's been ratings drops. Cool, understand that.
But that's because he endorsed it. And he was supposed to condemn it.
But my point is, the person making the statement has had no repercussions. But the person making the statement had no repercussions.
Do you know why?
I know what you're going to say, go on.
Because he's a millionaire.
There you go, power and wealth.
10 million
£10 million donation.
£10 million donation
So how much is
at
he
that
worth?
point, and then after that, a £5 million
He probably
donation.
just slapped something else in there, like, hold up.
This is what I'm saying.
So the point, what it is, I don't think it's got worse. I think the repercussion thing is right. I think back in the 80s, early 90s, you said something racist, it was a fight. If someone called you a nigger, and I'm not going to say the N word. No, I'm saying the word. If they called you a nigger, a man was getting boss up. A man had to get beaten up. And I think that same rhetoric has to be used now. People are not scared to say stuff because they can hide behind social media. Or it's that foolishness of, oh, you can say what you want, or they've got an opinion. No, that is a crime. Therefore, if you say that, there needs to be repercussion. If someone says something to me racist, I'm not having a conversation. I'm physically hurting that person.
Can I say something a little bit controversial though?
Go on.
Even on the basis of only on the basis of what you just said. If this is what I feel or I want to say, it's freedom of speech, innit? Do you know what I mean? I can say what I want to say. It might not be right, but I'm saying to myself, I want to say what I want to say, so I'm going to say it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you might not agree with it, and you might, like the guy said, this woman has said whatever she wanted to say, and it made me feel that all black people are this. All right, and that's what he felt at the time.
Yeah.
Why can he not say it?
It's criminal language.
If someone says, I want to rape a woman, is that cool? Because he wants to say it. It's his opinion.
It's my opinion.
So you can say that.
But why can't I say it?
No.
It's how I feel.
So that's how you feel. You can say that.
Because the act of rape is illegal.
Yes.
All right.
The act of shooting someone is illegal.
The act of talking of someone's race is
illegal.
racist
and from a point of hate.
Yes.
And it incites violence. So what you have to remember, as soon as you make a statement like that, as you mentioned about 1 million followers, you have influence. There's someone who has 7 followers, but was like, do you know what? I want to be like Buddy. Buddy wants to shoot black women. I don't like.
And that's true.
I like Buddy. I don't like black women. Let me shoot the black woman. And guess what? I'm going to be as popular as Buddy.
I'm going to quickly jump onto what you said. Just to jump onto exactly what you said there. A real live situation of that was what happened when there was the elections in America and Donald Trump was there saying what he said. He never told the people to go and storm the Capitol, but they went to storm the Capitol based on his wording or whatever. Exactly as you said,
Nancy
Citrus.
Pelosi's office.
See, I was letting Citrus finish because I like what he said because he's right in what he said. And I mean, like I said, it was slightly controversial what I said, but this is the point that if you've got a position of power, you're sitting on a higher pedestal, you're giving influence to other people, then of course I understand it. You can't now sit there and say, I hate black people, everyone should shoot black people. I got 1 million followers. One of those 1 million followers are now going to pick up themselves and turn and say, you know what, I'm going to go shoot a black person. And that's wrong of me to say that, and I've influenced others. However, the other side of it is I suppose the idea of social media is, and things like this is to get the points of people and their truths and what they want to say. Twitter, I want to hear what you want to say and what your thoughts are. So no, I still want to hear it, whether it's controversial and it's wrong. Joey Barton sat there and said he doesn't think that there should be
female commentators.
Female commentators
on male football.
Do you know what the funniest thing is? And it's going to probably shut us down a little bit, but I agree with him. I don't like it. But you know, at the end of the day, that's his opinion. And now, because he's at this point and he's saying it, everybody's saying whatever they want to say. There is probably 1 million other people, probably more, that sit there and think to themselves, I don't want to hear Sue, I can't remember her surname, but Sue sitting there talking about, he's going down the ring, he's doing the wrong thing. Why are you telling me that? I know what I know. I think what I know. I just don't agree with you. And I think to myself, and I'm not saying I couldn't agree with a man because it's the same thing. But
you can disagree with
I don't necessarily. When I'm hearing it from her, I don't like it. It doesn't sound as good.
You don't like it because she's a woman?
No, I just don't. I don't know. I just don't like it. It doesn't. I'll sit there and I've watched the football match and I've heard 2 women commentating. And I'm like, I beg you, just put one of the dudes, put one of the ex-footballers on there. I don't care who you put on there. I just want to. I can't hear you lot. I mean, and I like some of the. What's the lady girl, the black girl, Alex Scott. Yeah, I like her. She's cool. All right.
Visually or what she says?
A bit of both. But even in that, I still don't necessarily want her to be commentating on the part where they're saying this person's on the ball, that person, and then giving me your expert.
But she's played football. She's played for Arsenal. She's played for England.
I still don't like it.
I'd really like to jump back in. And I'm very. They've got a new big clock
No, that's what's been there for long. I've been
I've been there for
You
ages.
ain't been there for a while, that's why.
Yeah. And to be fair, the electric bill weren't paid last time, so I don't know what was going on. But right now, there's a big clock telling me that there's a
8
few
minutes
minutes left. I want to say 8 minutes, but certain man turn up late, so I didn't think I got my full.
It's not about turn up late. I mean, drinking drinks like what?
Like, what? All right, so I want a real quick fire round.
All right, let's go.
On being black in 2024.
Okay.
And in my head, I got a list of subjects.
Go for it.
Done.
So I'm gonna drop a subject, and you've got 20 seconds
Yep.
to respond.
Oh, I love this.
Right? There's 18 minutes left of the podcast. I'm just putting it out there to see
He's
what
looking
I
at the
want for
producer, and the producer ain't saying
He
nothing.
ain't saying nothing. If his shoulders go up-
silence is acceptance.
Right. So there's 18 minutes
he's
left.
turning
Oh,
his
I
head.
turn around. Nah,
Now the producer's just turning his head.
you could have left a little hamburger there or something, brother.
No, you're moving mad.
That would have kept it occupied. But all right, so I'm going to mention a subject on. I'm going to mention the subject being black in 2024.
Go on.
Yeah.
And when I mention the subject, you all have 20 seconds.
Go for it. Go for it.
To talk about
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, but I need a timer.
Okay, go on.
No, I'm making this formal, bruv.
Okay,
You're making it formal.
20
Sorry,
seconds.
sorry.
So
So
listen, the producer, he's got his stop clock in.
Right,
He's
he's got his
got the
stop
stop
clock.
clock
He
ready.
said,
You know.
"Don't
Producer,
ramp with me."
can I
the
have-
digital stop clock getting ready now.
I don't know for like if you're gonna do 2020.
I just want a timer. I need a
So it's
timer.
1 minute each. So 1 minute in
No,
total.
it's not 20 seconds.
1 minute in
20
total.
20 seconds.
I said 20 seconds.
Go
So,
on, fire away.
so everyone now.
I like this. I like it.
I'll give you. I'll
Yeah,
give
let's
you
go,
a
let's
little
go.
time.
Let's go.
We're just wasting time.
Let's go.
You're eating into my 20 seconds, mate.
Yeah, bro.
Come on.
No,
It's
you
so
lot-
dead,
you
bro.
lot are
I'm done with it. It's over.
You know, Buddy's not included. So
Perfect.
all right, here we go. Being black in 2024, money.
So money's good. Money's good. I think there is they do this thing called the gender pay gap, and then there's another
Ethnicity
one,
pay gap.
Ethnicity
Yes,
pay gap,
which
means things are looked at differently. For me in my job, it works because I get paid top brack.
Russ.
Wiley, money.
Money. Black people in 2024 have got more impact on money on the economy because we now are very vocal where our money is spent. So that money being spent, now you have to now attract the black pound.
Mad.
Buddy, money.
Equal. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not even gonna try and do
I
my
get
20
mine.
seconds.
Hope you get yours. That's
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah, bruv. Equal. It's equal, bruv. It's fine.
Next.
Equal. Next.
Lifestyle.
Lifestyle. It's good, but what it is, you find a lot of black people trying to traverse into different lifestyles. So black, white people's lifestyles, and go into, I don't know, Claridge's, and go into places for afternoon tea, when we should be building businesses which have Michelin star Caribbean African restaurants.
Wiley.
Lifestyle. I think to touch on to what Rain was saying, I think we are starting to, because, and I touched on this earlier, about merging societies and merging cultures, what's now happening is that the link to the original culture is going to end up getting diluted, and fearfully it may get lost.
Buddy.
We invest too little and spend too much. There you go. Go on. I'm good. I'm good. I can do my thing quick, bro. My thing's quick, bro.
Culture.
Yes, it is a good thing, but some cultures are being demeaned because of the fashionability of others at the moment.
Culture.
Culture, like I said earlier, getting diluted. And what we have to make sure is that our cultures from the original source is carried on all the way through to the end. Otherwise, you're like America, black Americans, you have no link to the original culture.
Culture.
We learn too little at the moment. I think there's so much more that we need to learn in our culture within ourselves, and to teach our children and our children's children, etc., etc. I'm good at this.
Parenting.
I think it's dropped by the wayside for some parents, black parents, definitely. Allowing kids to be a bit too liberal, being able to talk back, being able to swear, being able to bring partners home at certain ages when you're not an adult.
Parenting, I think culturally, we still have the same values. I think I slightly disagree with Rain there. I think that the values are there, How you can implement those values in this society is the issue. But generally, the values are still there.
I need more time.
Parenting.
All right, quickly.
18.
Basically, I feel to myself, we've lost a lot of our cultural things that we needed to learn to teach our children, and one of those things are because of the fact that we are not allowed to hit our children, and we're not allowed to do a lot of other things with our children. I am under a lot of pressure at this time, so stop putting it in my face. I could go on, but there's loads of different things that we need to learn from our ancestors when it comes to parenting. Boom.
Yeah, man. Saturday suit. No, people don't have Saturday suit.
You know what I mean? I could go on.
Affiliations to your homeland.
Oh God. What's your homeland?
No,
Where's your homeland?
I think a lot of people are finding themselves and going back to their homeland. A lot of my friends are buying property, buying land in their homelands, and I think it's a good thing. I think people are woke to that.
Wiley.
I love the fact, and I'm saying this as a Nigerian, I love the fact that Nigerians are going back in their droves, building businesses, making money, making that money work for them. I love it. And I think that is the best way. Take the money from here, build over there.
So what's the question?
Parenting.
No, it's not parenting.
No.
What's the next one?
Homeland. It's about
Homeland,
homeland.
sorry.
Yep.
I think we need to learn more about our homeland. I say I'll leave it as. I think we need to all learn more.
You need to start thinking faster. Rain gets 0 time. You get 40 seconds.
But I'm cool with it.
Discrimination.
You know what?
cool
Flip
with
it
it.
around this way.
Dating.
I'll put that in. Education.
Education on what platform? Wait, on what platform? You said education. Education.
I'll go. Education. Reset
It's not your
that.
turn.
Okay.
We're educated. I don't understand what the question is. What is the question?
Just reset the thing. Let me go.
Yeah.
Wiley, education.
Education is still fundamental to black cultures over in this country. Whether you're West African, whether you're Caribbean, I believe
Wiley, I'm
it
going to
is the
stop you.
focus there.
I'm going to
Go on.
stop you. Based on Buddy's inability to understand the question, I'm going to ask the entire question.
Go on.
Being black in 2024, how important is the emphasis on education? Rain Man.
It's very important. And what it is, the education system is not built for black people. It teaches you a certain particular piece of history that they want to teach you, but they don't teach you the wider scale. For example, the Black Triangle, they teach you that only, but they don't teach you about the black kings and queens of Africa, who was the richest man in the world and why, and yada, yada, yada.
Wiley.
Like I said, I believe that it is a key part of what we do, and I think the focus on education from our parents, from our elders, is what makes us strive and drive to become the best at what we do. Absolutely.
Buddy.
I mean, they don't educate us about our homeland, but we've got to also understand to ourselves what country we're living in. So whatever country you're living in, they'll give you the education of that country. So knowing to myself that I'm in England, I will learn the English education and their history. If I was in an African or a Caribbean country, I would learn their history. So I'm not really, I think their education is the way the education is.
Time. Blended families. Being black in 2024. Buddy.
It's the norm. Like, I mean, blended families is what it is. We live in a country where everything is blended. So it's the norm.
What's blended?
What colour is he talking about?
Right, you're talking about race.
Buddy, you've still got time.
Oh, if you're talking about race, then exactly what I just said. Race is blended, isn't it? It is what it is.
Wiley.
I don't believe that's blended families. Blended families is when you're having a parent, split families, and you live as one, and you're making one family. So I actually am part of a blended family. And as part of a blended family, I find it's beautiful how that works. It's amazing. And I think it's something that our culture puts forward a lot.
Rain.
From what I get, I think when Wiley says blending families is not a bad thing, because you will get, so like in my family, my cousin's Jamaican and she's married a Nigerian man. Now, the combination of them and their family, their kids, they're sharing cultures, it is amazing.
It broadens control cultures.
Yeah, it is amazing.
Makes cultures bigger.
Mixed relationships. Buddy.
Mixed relationships, I don't see.
I'm going to pause you there.
Interracial
Being a black
relationships?
man in 2024 in a mixed relationship. Buddy.
I feel it's more diverse now, and it's become a thing where it happens, and we're less likely to be scornful of it, and more likely to just be accepting of it. Wiley, I'm done. My things are short, bro. I'm good.
Wiley,
I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult for black men to be in interracial relationships as opposed to black women, because I think black men are viewed as they're meant to be in a same racial relationship as opposed to black women who culturally it's looked at slightly differently, but that's a podcast for another day.
Rain Man.
Black men in those kind of relationships sometimes, I believe, are seen as the commodity, something as a potentially a fashion accessory. And when I mention dating, it comes down to the point of in interracial relationships, the woman is attracted to a black man because why? Because he's got a big
Time.
Jeez.
Working aspirations, Rain Man. I'm going to pause you. Being a black man, working aspirations in the UK, 2024, Rain Man.
I think we should all have working aspirations. I think we have this thing called, what is it called? Mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Imposter syndrome, which hinders people going for jobs that they should be going for because we are equal to anyone in the country.
Wiley.
I think we need to be able to break through the glass ceiling. And I think it's difficult sometimes to recognise that it's there, but it's all the more difficult to try and explain to people that are not black that ceiling's there. And that is probably part of the issue itself.
Buddy.
I'm no longer scared. I mean, those things have changed for me. Like in 2024, I don't know what you're talking about. Like in 2000, the year 2000, or probably even 1990s. Yeah, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
No, it doesn't make a difference.
It's one of those things. It's not in your timing thing. So my son plays football, and what I've tried to get him into a mentality of, when you're on the pitch, that ball is your football. Doesn't matter who's got it. Doesn't matter how good that person is. That's your football. The reason why it's your football is you control the game because it's your football. Anything else doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your coach is saying. Doesn't matter what the other team's saying. You go for that ball and you make something happen. And it's the same thing with jobs and aspirations and whatnot.
And what you just said there is really good, because it's like, back before, when you was younger, it was a case. We're not doing the time thing no more.
I'm going to do my 20 seconds afterwards. No, you had the 20 seconds. No.
But back before, when you was you could sit there and say, oh yeah, Billy's going to get more of a chance than I am. Now it's not like that. Now it's a case of the talent does the talking. So it's a very massive change where people want results rather than looking at your skin color or how pretty you are or what your background is. We want results now. So it's changed a lot.
I think I have to disagree. I find myself in situations where I'm having to deal with a lot of people who have not been given positions and not been given roles because of their skin colour. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have the aspirations, but we shouldn't ignore the fact those barriers are put in place by people of position and power, and getting past those barriers are not always easy.
Being black in 2024, unconscious bias, Wiley.
Don't exist. There's no such thing as unconscious bias. There's racism, and there's racism, and that is it.
Wiley said my thing. Have 40 seconds.
Right, man. Wiley said his thing. I got 40 seconds.
No, he said my thing as well.
What's the question?
Unconscious bias.
I still think there's unconscious bias that goes on. I mean, as much as I've sat there and said I'm pro how everything's changed, I do still feel to myself that there is so many bias that go on in the world that, despite people sitting there saying to themselves, well, you know what, I'm accepting of trans, I'm accepting of gays, I'm accepting of blacks, I'm accepting of whites or Asians or whatever it is, we still have a point where we have a feeling against that person, and that's not going to go away just like that. It takes a long time for it to go away, and it takes time for. I got 40 seconds, bro. It takes time.
You got 40 seconds on your segment. All right. So, being called up to national service, aka the army, Wiley.
In the UK, no way. That's my answer.
Your passport says different.
I've given my answer. That's my answer.
That is my answer. Getting called up for national service, what?
That is my answer.
Boss gun for England.
But this is your country.
I've given my answer.
Do you know what the thing is? We could have a whole segment on this.
I've given my answer. Thank you.
Rain.
No, buddy, would you fight for your country?
Rain, it's you. It's not Buddy.
I'll fight for Buddy and Buddy's team.
National service. No. What is the question? Am I going to go and do it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go and do it.
Have you done it before?
I'm not going to go and do it.
Have you done it before?
The way that the country has been, I'm not going to go and do it. I'm not going to go and do it. I don't believe in what this country stands for at the moment. And yes, to the racists out there, why don't you go back to your own country? I'm in the country because I was born here. I've got a red passport.
For your race, don't let anyone be an obstacle to what you want to do. You carve your own destiny and your own route, and you get to your own destination.
Rain.
There is no unconscious biases racism. There is no glass ceiling. It's a hindrance. Go for it. That's it.
That's
So
the
what's
entire
the
message.
question?
But he's not here, you know. He's not in this.
No,
he's in
no,
this room.
He's not here. He's
No,
not.
I'm
It's
not.
so
I'm
bad.
not.
The producer knows the question.
Do you know what, Jay?
Even the producer. got an answer.
Jay, can you get a mic? Jay, I'm gonna come to you. No, mic. No, mic up, please.
I'm trying to work out the.
Can you mic up? Take Wiley's mic or something. Turn the camera off. Take Wiley, because every time I ask Buddy a question, he's like, I'm not answering. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I need an influence.
Do you know, considering you're not
Please.
answering none of these questions,
He's
I'm begging you
asking the
shut up.
questions.
Yeah?
He's Scooby-Doo. We've got
You're
about
asking-
30 seconds.
Exactly.
You're asking me to ask.
before the plug get pulled
Answer
out.
your own questions. You answer none of them. You're just firing them out. Answer one of them.
Okay, I wish someone did their own research and background, but it's all right. So, Buddy,
Yes.
answer the question.
I asked what the question was.
You didn't hear what Rain said.
I heard what Rain said.
Okay. I'm gonna do you the favor and say, speaking to your grandchild
I heard that.
after your death, being black in 2024, Buddy.
In 2024,
I wasted 8 seconds on stuttering, but go on.
and then about 10 seconds on you talking. But anyway,
That was great. We are the MT podcast. I'm joking.
in 2024, I would sit there and say to myself, you know what? Look, the future is changing, innit? And there are so many things that you can achieve. Achieve what you need to achieve and achieve what you think that you can achieve. Push yourself to the limits and try to say to myself, you know what? Achieve what you can according to how well you can do it. That's it.
How many times did he say achieve?
It's an 18 times. It's fine.
So it makes sense on the rewrite.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry, when
just-
Jay edits it.
Just finally, this is the last question.
Yeah.
And this one isn't timed.
Wow.
Yeah?
Right, start with you then. You answer it first. Ask the question and you answer.
No, I'll ask a question, allow you to answer it, and then I'll respond. I've already got my response. Okay?
Because he knows the question.
Because it's my question.
Okay.
So I would say 2024, New Year's Eve, ready to enter into 2025. What are you aiming to achieve? I'm going to pause there for dramatic effect and give you time to think.
No, I'll go.
Use your entire 20 seconds. I'm not trying to hear one line and I'm done. Yeah?
I'll go.
Just, do you know, this is why sometimes we don't drink on the podcast. Because you're misbehaving right now. So I'm going to ask the question from scratch. New Year's Eve, 2024, being able to have a conversation with yourself and say what you've achieved this year, what would you say to yourself? 20 seconds. Buddy, use your 20 seconds. Please go.
So you changed the question slightly, by the way. But
18.
No, he changed the question slightly.
15.
You know what? You're just messing me. I'm gonna say nothing in a minute. All right. But what I would say is that, you know what? Go into this year, try and achieve the goals that you can achieve according to not to emotions, but more to what you can achieve for yourself, and not according to anybody else's factor, not let anyone else factor into your decisions. So if I was talking to myself, I'd be saying to myself, you know what? There are goals that I can achieve to push myself to a next level. And that's what I will sit there and try to do. So whatever it is that I'm doing towards the end of this year, I would sit there and say, you know what? Let's advance it. Let's see what we can achieve that's more or higher than that. Are we done?
Time. Wiley, 30 seconds.
As a black man,
You got 20.
as a black man,
You got 30.
my answer would be that I will have to continue to advance what I can do for those of us that are black and are struggling or going through certain things that I can help them achieve and get beyond. So that means rather than me trying to look for my individual situation, I've got to be looking for the situation of those who I can help and those that I can get to a better place. That's what I
Time.
believe.
Jay, I'm gonna call you up after the Rain Man, okay? So you've got time to think.
Should
Rain,
I move out the seat?
go, move out the seat.
I'll let Jay sit there. It's fine.
There's a lot of confusion. Let's start my time again.
Rain,
What's the question?
the conversation with yourself, New Year's Eve, 2024. Time.
At this age, the conversation is: are you happy? I said this before. It's just simply.
Rain, I'm gonna pause you there.
Alright,
I
cool.
apologise.
Hey, go
Brother,
on.
respect the thing. I
Go
beg.
on.
Respect the team.
Rain,
The question with myself is: are you happy? It comes to a point, and I'd probably say this: look around in this dance. Everybody's singing to this. I'm a boss, and no one owns a business. Do you own a business? Yes. Are you happy? Yes. What do you need to achieve? I just want to be happy. Just be happy. Sometimes it's not about trying to earn this. Everyone's trying to earn money and whatnot. And I get it if you haven't achieved, but if you've achieved, there's a time you need to enjoy life. You're only here for a certain period of time, and life's not given. You can be taken. I could go out on the road and crash and dead.
Yeah,
That's me.
yeah, for real.
okay, because I know Jay's still setting up. I'm gonna talk to Citrus right now.
Okay.
And I'll happily time myself as well. Because
I'm
Cerise said-
timing too.
So, New Year's Eve, do you know what? Well done, you made it. You didn't think you were making it. There were times this year you cried. There were times this year you were happy. There were times this year you were really sad. But you made it. You got to this point. And now you got to this point. What does the next 12 months look like? How can you enrich the people around you that you love? How can you enrich the people around you that you like? And still invest in yourself. Keep investing. You're doing the right thing, King. And you know what? Always stay blessed and keep God in your heart. That's how you do a 30 seconds. But
No, I did my first second. Don't diss my thing. Don't diss my thing.
It was sketchy.
It wasn't sketchy.
Judgy, innit?
Sketchy.
No, your thing was.
All right. Wait.
He's not ready. He's not ready. I'm talking. His thing was. Your thing was talking yourself up. You've done it. Well done. I'm saying you've achieved. Go for it. Just do what you want to do, man.
I'm talking to Citrus, bruv.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Your
saying.
conversation
Do you
with
know what the
Rain
funniest
Man
thing is?
in the sunshine
I'm sorry.
don't make sense.
Do you know the funniest thing is? This
Can I
wouldn't be his
just
talk.
talk-
This
can I
wouldn't be his
talk
talk
to-
to himself.
can I talk to Jay?
I've heard his talk to himself.
I know he's talked to
I'm gonna
himself.
talk to Jay.
I'm such a fancy old this year, like, bruh, what did I just do? Next year better be better though.
I'm going to Rotterdam though. I'm going to Rotterdam. I'm going to Rotterdam.
Yeah, it's certain man wasting their 30 seconds and they're trying to
This
improve.
just 30 seconds. I've said my thing.
So I'm gonna say to the producer off camera, are we live? Check. All right, Jay, you have 30 seconds. Have a conversation with Jay on New Year's Eve 2024.
Bad man, a bad man.
Keep pushing.
Bad man.
Man set up
said-
the ting.
and say,
It took
keep
15
pushing.
minutes
And
to
say,
say keep
keep
pushing.
Keep pushing.
You could have just said that in a text to us and we could have sent it to you. Said it for you, sorry.
So what I'll use this segment to release is I think we got pure TikTok from that thing. I'm gonna leave that to Wileycat and Rayman. But what I'll be
Messy
very
pure.
honest and say is, even with all those questions that we asked each other, and as controversial, as liberating, as explanatory, and whatever else those answers were, there were a very tight constraint that the gentleman around me was given to be able to just to freestyle on a topic they didn't know I didn't even know it. I was working out a topic when the 20 seconds were working down. So what I will say is some of the gems that you guys have dropped, this is what I love about my brothers, because when I listen back to this, I'm going to turn around and say, wow, do you know what? I never knew Buddy felt like this. I never knew Rain's mind worked like that. I never knew Wiley was in this mindset. And there were certain topics and subjects that came up that got each of us to trigger a different thought process and a different pattern, which I think is beautiful. And that's what makes our podcast as unique as it is. We could have 8 listeners or 85 listeners or 8,500 listeners. It doesn't matter. I turn around and say, every time I sit down with my brothers, I learn something new. And that is what it's like being a black man in 2024.
Mad thing.
Buddy.
Ross. Well, no, Wiley. Hey, we got no people talking on the live, or we just ignoring them.
I'm gonna do Buddy, Rain. Wiley's gonna summarize and then deal with the rhythm.
Do you know where this was his podcast, isn't it? Like,
Well,
I swear it was Wiley's podcast.
All I'm saying is certain times, right, you've got the captain and vice captain, and when the captain is
All
looking
right,
for
James
help,
Milner. It's fine, bro.
call me James Milner, but certain man is going to be on the transfer window.
It's fine. Look,
Not a general, but the best lieutenant you ever had.
While he's looking at me with folded arms and admiration,
All I'm
so
saying,
I will accept.
Yeah, go on.
Look, at the end of the day, being black in 2024 in Britain, I would sit there and say to myself, in my summary, I would say it is much improved from what we've come from in the 80s, 90s, and the noughties. All right, it's got better and better and better. I don't know if it's because we've now all become, and in semicolons, woke. All right, but it's changed. A lot of things have changed. I don't know if it's been for the better in some of the ways that they've gone about it to achieve it. But I've saying to myself, you know what, it has changed. It is a bit more a case of I don't know. I feel like I've got a bit more freedom of speech. I feel like I've got a bit more of a say. If something happens to me, all right, I can sit there and say, oh, I know what, I can vocalize it. And those things have changed for me. And those things I feel to myself are good for our people and then growth and making our society, I suppose, a very equal society rather than being one-sided as how it kind of felt when we was growing up. And I wouldn't even say when we was growing up, probably a bit before we was growing up, before I was growing up anyway. All right. I would say to myself, it's a bit more even and it's improved. And long may it improve. I mean, again, I'll also state I'm not a big fan of some of the ways that they've gone about certain other improvements, but I would say long may it improve. And there we go. I don't know who's bossing the podcast now, so I don't know if it's
I'm waiting for an
Citrus
instruction.
or Wiley. You know what? I don't know if it's Citrus or Wiley.
Should I go, buddy?
But maybe you should go, Ray. Ray, you go, because Wiley's looking at me like, say someone then.
Look,
Right.
just as a roundup, I think what I would say is that racism is out there. As a black man or a black person in the UK, it is difficult, but you can't see the difficulties because the racists have moved the goalposts and they've changed it. They've camouflaged the goal. They've called it unconscious bias. They've created this. Remember, wokeism started as a thing which was for black people and discrimination, and it's somehow moved on to blah, 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 blah. It's difficult out there. It's still difficult out there. All you need to do is keep your mind focused. Look at what you want to achieve, where you want to get to. Don't believe in these things of glass ceilings and what's the other one? Imposter syndrome. Those things have been purported out there into the nation to make you think that you can't achieve. You can achieve anything you want. I met Pharrell one time. You probably don't know this. I met Pharrell in a restaurant, Pharrell Williams, and I said, "Oh, give me a quote."
I just want you to know,
No.
I'm your favorite girl.
He didn't say that. He said anything imaginable is possible, and I truly believe that, and that's
I
what
like
it is.
that.
Yeah, Pharrell Williams.
Never
Shouts out to
told
him.
us that, but till today.
I just told you just now. Allow yourself.
Today,
Blood, I've
bruv.
met enough people. Blood.
You met enough people. Russ.
Every podcast, I'm gonna drop a gem from someone.
Do you know the worst thing is?
Here we go.
No. The real thing is, if you watch the Vibe Makers podcast, if you watch it, you will know, Rain, this ain't the first time around the block.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't even know
The thing
vibe
is,
makers are.
You don't understand.
Me. All right, let me know you start with me.
is what you're saying vibe makers, but I'm even saying crew. I'm going back to saying when it was crew.
Shut up, crew.
So let me
that
not
used
even
to run Tottenham.
You know, let me not even go
Okay.
further.
Rad,
Rad, Heat FM 966, Chris J.
There was
Blood,
there.
don't get me started. Listen, move on. Who's next?
Right. Listen, I will say this much. I will have to respectfully disagree with what Rain said there. I think it's important to know the things that are there. It's important to know things like imposter syndrome are there. It's important to know the ceilings are there. Not to have these things being the barriers, but to know that they are there. Because if you don't realize they are there, and you don't acknowledge these things being in place, what's going to happen is you're going to walk happily in the clouds with your head in the clouds, but not knowing what you're facing. You have to know what your obstacles are to get past them. And I think it's important.
Amen. 1 second, Wiley. 1 second. I'm gonna. I know this isn't allowed, but can you say that last line again, please?
You have to know your obstacles to know what they are to get past them. And if we don't know, or if we think that we will be able to get to the top, and we're going to have as clear a pathway as those who are next to us, who are not of the same skin color as us, when we're not accepting the fact that we're going to have that obstacle there, because ultimately, it's not to say we can't get past it, but it's to acknowledge it's there and find a way around it. Sometimes we have to take a different route than what some people got, the straight route, but it just means you have to navigate your route to get past it. And if you find that you're coming to a dead end, find another route through it. I think that it's vitally important for those of us growing up black in 2024 in this country to recognise that, and not to think the barrier's there, I can't get past it, but no, the barrier is there. I know I'm going to face a barrier. I'm going to find a way through it. And I think we touched on imposter syndrome in the podcast previously. Mm-hmm. The one thing I will say is never feel you are not in the place you are meant to be.
Right.
Because you are there for your own merit. Now, what you do when you're there is just as important as getting there. There's no point in getting to the table, but then you're not voicing your voice. You have to get to the table and talk and be heard and stamp your ground to let everyone know you are there. And it don't mean you don't have to be there as a black voice. You just have to be there as a strong voice of your own convictions. And then when you talk, everybody who respects what you're saying will know you're coming from good stock. And that's what we have to put forward in 2024 as a black person.
Bon scale.
Citrus.
So, this podcast, right, I hated the subject. I thought it was disgusting. And I knew it would push me and push us into a position to talk about and try and dissect topics that in their own merit owned an entire podcast, which is why I thought it was a cheat code as a podcast topic. But what I enjoyed about it is listening to my brothers discuss and share some of their issues and some of the things that they go through and some of the dilemmas that they wrestle with, which weren't necessarily fully discussed, but I can feel the energy through the podcast of what they've shared and hearing things like, do you know what I mean? And some of the things that weren't said. Wiley's name, if I saw it on a piece of paper, I couldn't pronounce it. And I've known this guy for almost 30 years. When you put them numbers in, that's crazy. And if I saw his full name on an application to my company, I'd be like, yo, we got to give this guy a nickname. Let's call him Billy. Do you know what I mean? And I'm being real because I'm not even trying to learn it. But this is his whole life. And he's now sharing what his whole life looks like today. So it's giving me a snapshot today of what his entire life looks like. Reign's entire life, Reign's WrestleMania with who he is, what he represents, and what he looks like. So as much as he's the Jamaicanest Jamaican I know, because my only comparison is Speedy, right? No, I like you. But my only comparison is Speedy. Essentially, he's denounced where his parents were born. And if you look in the Bible, where your parents were born represents who you are.
I wouldn't say denounced.
You said you're British. So, you denounced it. And for me, I don't disagree with you, bro. I'll be very honest. I will never say I'm St. Lucian. My mum and dad were born, they're probably cousins. Maybe first cousins, second cousins at best. I don't know, but I will still claim to be British because it's all I know. Put me in St. Lucia and they said, oh, do you remember today's earthquake season? Huh?
Yeah.
Put me back in Clapton.
I get your point. I just don't like the word denounced.
Put me back there because that's what I know and that's what I can do. Do you know what I mean? Someone that was born in Clapton, whose parents are from Southend-on-Sea or lived in Essex or from Slough, I can deal with that as good as they can, but put me back there and ask me to deal with it? No, I can't. And this is where slightly, not trying to enforce Buddy, that's why he leans on Wiley when Wiley says he isn't British. Because he can deal with British situations as well as the best or the top tier of British can in our circle versus a lower tier of Nigerians in Nigeria. Do you get what I mean?
What so you saying? If Wiley went to Nigeria and was dropped in there, he wouldn't survive?
No, he's saying that the lower scale of Nigerians
will be able to deal with a Nigerian situation better than Wiley in his British capacity as a Nigerian who had to deal with the same situation.
Okay, cool.
So I know my summary isn't a conversation,
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean.
thank you, buddy. So what I will say is, and I want to talk about this one young man, and he is 18 years old. It's about to be 19 in a few months. And he's of mixed heritage. His dad is a black Jamaican. His mum is mixed race Jamaican and British. And he doesn't know anything more than fish and chips, Power Rangers, and microwave meals. This is his life. And within that, he's now been opened up to a whole new world of culture. A culture that he didn't realise he was part of. But when he found out he was part of this culture, all of his peers who were white judged him by this same culture that he didn't even identify with, but realised he's now a representation of this culture. Which, if you look at it in isolation, is absolutely crazy. It's like me dropping you all in Kazakhstan and say you are the most Kazakhstani, if that's the term, person I know. Rep them.
Just give me a gun, I'll do a thing.
That's if you think that's what it is. If it's not about a gun and they say we hunt with knives, what happens then?
Rambo, innit?
What happens then? So, for me, when I think about this young man, and he's so innocent, he's so open and so pure, and he's now realising every day that he represents his culture. And I'm going to summarise because...
I thought this was a summary.
Bro,
no.
Shay's about to stab you in your neck, fam.
It's fine.
Bro,
He's fine.
I finished my summary about half an hour ago.
He's thinking about Happy Meal, bro. He's thinking about Happy Meal. It's good. So I'm going to turn around and say that if he listens to this podcast and hears this summary and he knows I'm speaking about him, he will turn around and understand he is part of our culture. So at the beginning, I spoke about does the generation reflect downwards? And I'm hoping in my summary, he understands this is about him. Don't clap me.
I don't know. It was like an hour speech. I kind of thought to myself.
No one likes you, buddy. Really, you're just here to make up numbers.
Wiley,
if you're joking or if you're being serious.
Wiley, close the podcast.
So this
please.
has been the Empty Podcast. What I will say is thanks to everyone who's been logged in, logged on.
Right.
Very engaging, covered everybody. There's been a lot of comments. I'm not going to try and go through them. Could have been quite a few to go through. I'm not going to try and go through them. But what I will say is if you are following us on Instagram, don't forget to also follow us on YouTube because that's where you're going to catch the whole live thing as well. Also on TikTok, the Empty Podcast, and catch us everywhere. Citrus, I can see your hand is waving.
No.
Anyone interested in doing a podcast, please contact the Empty Podcast. We'll put you in touch with Myriad Studios, who are based in
North London.
Yeah. And they have an amazing facility, dodgy customer services, but apart from that, everything else is more
the
than
customer
blessed.
services is amazing. It's amazing. It's been good. It's been good.
I'll just want to add a shout out to Myriad Studios, especially out to the team.
The producer.
Yeah, if he turned up, I'd be really happy. But the rest of the team are amazing.
Yeah, indeed.
Shout goes out to Big Man J.
Listen, it's been amazing. It's been a very entertaining, engaging podcast. Shout out to everyone who has logged in and logged on. This has been the eMpTy podcast, and if the glass ain't half full,
It's
eMpTy.
Yeah.